Chapter 25-31. Following you above a vast void in dark thunder territory. Although Jianghu was slowly gliding forward, his mind kept replaying the battle with the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor. Sword World. Now that's a real complete Sword World. The kind of stunning effects against sword principles and sword-based techniques, not to forget the sword essences which filled every corner of heaven and earth. Jianghu sank into deep thoughts and only got out from his stupor after a very long time. Phew. Jianghu exhaled lightly with a faint smile on his face. The battle with the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor was not victorious, but I had gained a whole lot through and through. Jianghu muttered to himself, the governor is truly very powerful, but he can only easily suppress me due to his sword world's stunning effects. If him against other peak ultimate god who has opened his own world, my sword principles won't suffer such suppression so long it was not a sword world and I won't end up in such a miserable state. A sword cultivator who formed his sword world and one who did not were two different concepts. Furthermore, a cultivator who had formed his sword world would have a bigger shock and suppression impact against other sword cultivators. If the opponent cultivated other principles such as blade principles, the effect would not be as apparent. Jianghu had truly suffered a lot under the governor's sword world. I've now personally experienced his sword world. Once I've formed my own sword world and encounter the Infernal Heart Prefecture's governor again, it'll no longer be such an easy win with both our sword worlds suppressing against each other. Jianghu was really looking forward to forming his own sword world. However, he also knew forming a sword world was not something he could do as he wished. Even for him, he would need time to gradually study and understand how it works. Jianghu met up with Xiao Tiexin half a day after he left the central region. Mr. Jianyi, did you run into any troubles along the way? Xiao Tiexin asked curiously. A little bit. I had a battle with the Luo brothers and the governor of Infernal Heart Prefecture, said Jianghu. The Luo brothers? The governor of Infernal Heart Prefecture? Xiao Tiexin was shocked. It was believable that he fought the Luo brothers, but the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was considered the #1 expert in the 18 prefectures. What is the outcome? Xiao Tiexin continued to ask. I suffered a small defeat, but they couldn't force me to stay. Jianghu smiled and did not explain too much. The remaining 15 prefectures are frantically looking for me now. I don't think I can stay in this territory anymore. Let's go to Northern Darkstar Continent. Xiao Tiexin nodded. They immediately took off. Jianghu and Xiao Tiexin naturally sped up upon leaving the central region for their remaining journey, as regular thieves could not pose any threats so long those 15 prefecture experts did not come after them. They arrived at the border of Dark Thunder territory a month later. Let's stop here, said Jianghu. Mr. Jianyi? Xiao Tiexin took a glance at Jianghu and now knew what he intended to do. Jianghu had obtained a big amount of resources and treasures from destroying the demonic moon, heaven poison, and underworld prefectures. Close to 90,000 primordial stones to be exact. During that whole time, Jianghu did not have time to refine and absorb those primordial stones. However, at that moment, as soon as we leave Dark Thunder territory, we would be in the Northern Darkstar continent. I should refine those primordial stones before entering the Northern Darkstar continent. Even though it won't allow me to make further breakthroughs, an increase of divine powers will still upgrade my abilities to an extent, said Jianghu. He very soon found a quiet place, sat down cross-legged and began refining those stones. As for Xiao Tiexin, she was still assisting him as before. There were only 6,000 primordial stones last time and Jianghu needed only 2 days to finish refining them. However, there were 90,000 pieces now and Jianghu needed an entire month to refine all of them. Jianghu stood up and looked at those primordial stones which had turned into regular stone piles around him and exclaimed, it only took a month to finish all 90,000 of them. My absorption speed is beyond overly luxurious. The 90,000 pieces of primordial stones were the 3 prefectures of Dark Thunder territory's accumulation and Jianghu had just exhausted it like that. If others knew about it they would probably be dead envious. Xiao Tiexin walked over at that moment. Xiao Tiexin was shocked as well upon looking at those rocks on the ground. She then asked, Mr. Jianyi, since you have absorbed close to 90,000 primordial stones, does that mean your divine power is? Jianghu laughed. It's not as simple as you think. These 90,000 primordial stones may upgrade my divine powers by a lot, but there's still a slight gap before I could make a breakthrough to the next cultivation level. A slight gap. Xiao Tiexin was shocked as those 90,000 primordial stones were the equivalent of unfathomable divine powers and yet Jianghu still could not make a breakthrough to the next level? Just a little bit. Jian Wushuang sighed as well. His divine powers at that time could be considered at the very top of a first-class divine demon and infinitely close to the peak divine demon realm. According to Jian Wushuang's estimation, he would just have to refine another 20,000 to 30,000 primordial stones if he wished to make a breakthrough into the peak divine demon realm. That figure was not considered too big for him who had just refined 90,000 primordial stones. The problem was that he could not find so many primordial stones at this moment. He had exhausted all of his primordial stones and there were only a huge number of resources and treasures left which he could not refine like primordial stones. Although Xiao Tiexing still possessed 6,000 pieces of primordial stones that were not remotely enough. Forget it, I'll go to the North Darkstar continent first and think of a way there, mumbled Jian Wushuang before looking over at Xiao Tiexing. Tiexing, where are you planning to go after leaving Dark Thunder territory? Nowhere, I'll just follow you, said Xiao Tiexing straightforwardly. Following me? Jian Wushuang was shocked. I have a feeling I'll gain some benefits if I'm with you, said Xiao Tiexing. Oh, but why? Jian Wushuang asked casually. I'm not sure, perhaps because of your terrifying abilities, talent, or advancement speed. I've never heard anyone refining primordial stones as recklessly as you do. If you could keep progressing in this manner, perhaps you would become a pinnacle existence within the northern Darkstar continent. In the end, you could even become... Xiao Tiexing suddenly paused with a peculiar look on her face. Chapter 2532, North Darkstar Continent. Are you trying to say I'll threaten the Northern Darkstar Territory Lord and even find ways to eliminate him to take over his position in the end and help you with your revenge at the same time? Jian Wushuang looked over at Xiao Tiexing. Yes. Xiao Tiexing solemnly nodded and immediately knelt down. Mr. Jian Yi, I'm willing to be your slave, servant, or concubine for the rest of my life without regrets if you could kill the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord and avenge my family. Please get up. Jian Wushuang immediately helped her up as he could see through her eyes Xiao Tiexin's deep grudge. The grudge of her clan's annihilation. Her parents, relatives, and many siblings had died in the hands of the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord. It was an enormously mortal hatred. Jian Wushuang frowned and said, Tiexing, you're actually very gifted and have an incredibly strong comprehensive mind. You'll be able to take revenge yourself with your current progress on top of having good opportunities. There's no need to become someone's slave or concubine. Xiao Tiexing smiled wryly. No, there's something you do not understand, Mr. Jian Yi. I was the only one who escaped when my clan was destroyed. Although I survived, I had to perform my family's unique secret technique during that battle to protect myself. The secret technique could radically and briefly raise my abilities at the cost of ruining my foundations. My potential has been exhausted with my damaged foundation. I'm really lucky to be able to become a low-level ultimate god and will have an even slimmer hope of becoming a high-level or peak ultimate god. It's even more impossible for me to become an Earth ultimate god. It was because of this that when the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord found out I'm still alive, he didn't care to send people after me as he knew that I don't pose a threat to him. He'll need to rely on other people's help to seek revenge. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Her foundation is damaged and future potential exhausted? He clearly knew the importance of a foundation toward any cultivator. That was fundamental for all cultivators. One's foundation had to be sturdier and stronger the further one wanted to go. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to make a breakthrough in the future. It was the precise reason that so many cultivators in ancient god domain permanently remained at their particular level and were unable to make a breakthrough anymore. They lost the possibilities for further breakthroughs once their potentials were completely exhausted. In normal circumstances, not many people would do something that might damage their foundations unless under desperate situations. Xiao Tiexing was forced to use her clan's secret technique in order to survive the dire situation. However, she also exhausted her potential due to that. As a matter of fact, Jian Wushuang's method of directly ingesting divine powers to achieve cultivation breakthroughs could also affect one's foundation, but he was not afraid. First of all, his understanding of principles, laws, and many other matters in addition to his mental maturity had reached the breakthrough stages. He only lacked divine powers. The impact and effect on his foundations due to external divine power refinement and ingestion was extremely little such that he need not have to worry about it. Secondly, he possessed a perfectly flawless foundation such that those tiny bits of effects were like ants shaking a huge tree, completely negligible. Hence, Jian Wushuang could behave so recklessly. Tiexing, I'll be honest with you. Even without you asking me, he'll seek the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord sooner or later. I'm not just interested in his position as Territorial Lord. More importantly, he possesses the stately painting treasure taken from the Shao clan. Jian Wushuang said with a deep voice. The stately painting? Mr. Jenny, are you also interested in it? Or do you mean? Xiao Tiexing stared firmly at Jian Wushuang. She was quite shocked when Jian Wushuang mentioned the hidden information within the stately painting earlier. It was clear to her at that very moment Jian Wushuang had a strong yearning for the stately painting. I'm not only interested in it, I'm dead set on obtaining the painting as it was originally mine from the start. Jian Wushuang said. Xiao Tiexing began to slightly frown but soon relaxed. All she wanted then was to seek revenge, to kill the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord. She could care any lesser for the stately painting. All right, do so if you wish to follow me. I don't know much about the Northern Darkstar continent after all, and you can fill me in on that. However, you'd better disguise yourself before we go. Although the Territorial Lord didn't deliberately send anyone to kill you if you appear as you are in the Northern Darkstar continent right under his sight, I believe he'll conveniently kill you off, said Jian Wushuang. I am prepared for that. Xiao Tiexing took out a veil and a hat while she was speaking. The moment she put them on, none could recognize her. After that, both of them immediately left Dark Thunder territory and headed toward Northern Darkstar continent. The Northern Darkstar continent was the core of Northern Darkstar territory, but it was not very vast. It was not even the size of a wilderness. However, experts who lived there were way above other regions of the Northern Darkstar territory. Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexing were already at Northern Darkstar continent. Xiao Tiexing had told Jian Wushuang a lot of things about that place as they journeyed over. Jian Wushuang carefully listened. The Northern Darkstar continent is different from the wildernesses. Sects are almost non-existent in this continent. There are only various clans with varying ability levels. There were 4 top-tier clans in the continent among them, but since the Shao clan had been eliminated, only 3 top-tier clans remained. The 3 clans are Wu, Shi, and Situ clans respectively. These 3 clans contained legacies accumulated over 1,000,000 years or so. It goes to say their foundations and abilities, extremely stable and strong. Take the Shao clan as an example. When we were at our prime, there were a total of 4 peak ultimate gods and over 20 high-level ultimate gods. As for low-level ultimate gods, we had over 100 of them. Even so, we're only ranked 3rd among those great clans in the Northern Darkstar continent. Oh. Jian Wushuang looked rather surprised. 4 peak ultimate gods, over 20 high-level ultimate gods, and more than 100 low-level ultimate gods. That was an even stronger lineup than the combined forces of Dark Thunder Territory's 18 prefectures. Even with that lineup it only ranked 3rd. Chapter 2533. Structure. The Shao clan was so strong during its prime and only ranked 3rd, then which are the 2 clans more powerful than Shao clan? Jian Wushuang inquired. Wu and Shi clan, with both clans a step ahead of the Shao clan in terms of general abilities. Not to mention that both clans have their own Earth Ultimate God, said Xiao Tiexing. Jian Wushuang was truly shocked then. What? You're saying that these 2 clans both have an Earth Ultimate God? They do indeed, but their Earth Ultimate Gods don't stay in the Northern Darkstar continent. They went out very early on to wander. Not everyone is like the Territorial Lord who wants to control territories and become its overlord after all. Most experts choose to go wander and experience bigger places so that they could become stronger and travel further, said Xiao Tiexing. Jian Wushuang understood. Humans truly aspire for higher pursuits in life. When a cultivator reached a peak in certain territories, he would naturally expand his horizons and find bigger arenas to test his abilities. Although Jian Wushuang was interested in the Territorial Lord position, his main goal was to obtain more primordial stones. He would definitely adventure to larger places as soon as he obtained sufficient primordial stones. Actually, not only the Wu and Shi clans. The Shao and Situ clans have also produced Earth Ultimate Gods in the past. It's exactly because there used to be Earth Ultimate Gods in their residence that these few clans were qualified to be labeled as a top-tier clan. Unfortunately, both Shao and Situ clans lost their Earth Ultimate Gods when they died during their adventures outside, said Xiao Tiexing. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He imagined an alternate reality where the Shao clan's resident Earth Ultimate God was still alive. The Territorial Lord might perhaps not dare touch the Shao clan. Even though said Earth Ultimate God did not stay in the Northern Darkstar continent, as his opponent was also an Earth Ultimate God about the same level after all. Some consideration must be given before making any moves. Unfortunately for them, the Shao clan's Earth Ultimate God had died, hence the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord would naturally not be scrupulous. Other than top-tier clans are a lot of mid-tier and low-tier clans on the northern Darkstar continent. Xiao Tiexing continued her explanation. Most mid-tier clans have peak ultimate gods in residence, but the most they have are 2 at any time. Furthermore, the clan's foundations aren't too strong. Their general substantiality was a far cry from top-tier clans. Those mid-tier clans had to lower their heads when facing the Xiao clan at its prime. They won't even have the nerve to cross us. Those low-tier clans are the bottom feeders who could have a standing on the northern Darkstar continent. Their abilities are still quite extraordinary despite being low-tier clans. They don't have peak ultimate gods in residence, but they do have quite a lot of high-level ultimate gods and most importantly a very vast network. It's one matter when they are in normal fights, but when facing life and death situations these low-tier clans will utilize their networks and foundations to actually form a rather strong allied force in a short time. Jian Wushuang finally understood. The 3 clan levels on the northern Darkstar continent in terms of abilities might seem very far apart from each other. However, there were reasons that allowed them to have a foothold on the continent and should not be taken lightly. Of course, regardless of a clan's abilities or sturdy foundations, the real overlord on the northern Darkstar continent will always be the northern Darkstar territorial lord. Xiao Tiexin's expression turned frosty. The territorial lord is an Earth ultimate god. Furthermore, I hear he's also extremely strong among Earth ultimate gods. There were only 3 people who tried challenging him since he became the territorial lord. Challenge? Jian Wushuang was paying more attention. Territorial lords are the lord of a territory. It's his abilities that gave him his position in the first place. Anyone who is confident about his own abilities could of course challenge the territorial lord. However, he would have to meet a lot of criteria before the challenge. The territorial lord is a noble position after all and not anyone could challenge him. As long as the criteria are met, one could challenge the territorial lord but he would need to be free to take up the challenge. Xiao Tiexing paused a little and continued, normally as long as that person met the criteria and issued a challenge, the territorial lord will have to accept it within a millennium, but that also implies he would always wait for 1,000 years before finally crossing hands with his challenger. However, this territorial lord has never dragged it out. He answers those challenges very soon so long someone issues him a challenge. There were only 3 people who met all criteria to challenge him since he became the territorial lord, with those 3 people being Earth ultimate gods through and through. However, the results were, all 3 being defeated and 2 of them were killed by the territorial lord. The remaining survivor is severely injured. Is he that powerful? Jian Wushuang frowned. He originally thought the northern Darkstar territorial lord was merely a regular Earth ultimate god but looked like it was not so. Among those 3 Earth ultimate god challengers, 2 died and 1 suffered serious injuries. It was proven the territorial lord's abilities were extremely strong even among Earth ultimate gods. This northern Darkstar territorial lord isn't only powerful in terms of abilities. He also has an official army under his control. The official army, the most powerful and terrifying army in the northern Darkstar territory that only a territorial lord could control. Xiao Tiexing looked solemn. The official army is 10,000 men strong with each battalion consisting of 1,000 men. You have to understand that the weakest soldiers in the official army are peak divine demons. In addition, sergeants leading the 10-man squads are at least low-level ultimate gods while leaders for the 100-men platoons are at least high-level ultimate gods. As for leaders of the 1,000-men battalions are none other than peak ultimate gods. In other words, just the official army itself will contain more than 10 peak ultimate gods, 100 high-level ultimate gods and 1,000 low-level ultimate gods. Heavens! Jian Wushuang showed a stunned expression. When he was at Wuxia Wilderness, even the most powerful sects only had 4 ultimate gods, with the entire Wuxia Wilderness having only approximately a dozen ultimate gods. However, just the northern Darkstar territory's official army had 1,000 ultimate gods. What would that mean? It's exactly because of his strong abilities in addition to his control over the terrifying official army that the northern Darkstar territorial lord could rule this territory with supreme authority. It's one of the reasons many sects in the various wildernesses, including many clans on the northern Darkstar continent under the northern Darkstar territory's control, would not dare disobey him and had to make primordial stone offerings every millennium with just a single order from him. Even the Wu and Shi clans who still have living Earth ultimate gods in residence had to make handsome offerings every 1,000 years to show their loyalties. Jian Wushuang thus completely understood the northern Darkstar continent power structure when Xiao Tiexing finished speaking. Chapter 25-34. A special gamble. As a newcomer in the northern Darkstar continent, My first step is to find my footing, followed by finding ways to obtain more primordial stones and upgrading my cultivation level and abilities. Once I have absolute confidence, only then will I plan on challenging the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord. Jian Wushuang squinted slightly and looked over at Xiao Tiexing. Tiexing, you're familiar with this place. Do you know how I could obtain a large sum of primordial stones in a short time? Jian Wushuang asked. The fastest way to obtain primordial stones is becoming a territorial lord. First and foremost, Mr. Jian Yi has great potential, but still quite a distance from being able to challenge the territorial lord, said Xiao Tiexing. Jian Wushuang rolled his eyes at Xiao Tiexing and signaled her to say something more useful. Other than becoming a territorial lord, you can also provoke the Northern Darkstar Continent clans, as even the weakest clan would have huge savings, but as I've said before, that those low-tier clans do have their strengths and especially their networks. If you're planning on getting primordial stones by annihilating the clans individually as you did back in the Dark Thunder territory, I'm afraid it's not so easy, said Xiao Tiexing. Jian Wushuang shrugged. He currently could not but head on against those clans due to his lack of abilities. Even if he did, he would not annihilate an entire clan with no good reason except for obtaining some primordial stones. Those clans were different from the Dark Thunder territory's 18 prefectures after all. The prefectures were thieves, murderers and smugglers, hence he was not bothered at all when killing them. If you don't have the heart to deal with these clans, then the only place to get a large sum of primordial stones within a short time would be the gladiatorial arena, gamble fight. I know of a very large gladiatorial arena in North Darkstar Continent owned by the Sure clan, one of the 3 top-tier clans. In the arena, participants could carry out gamble fights. Furthermore, there is a special gamble fights method in the arena, which is the Blood Gladiator Challenge. Xiao Tiexing solemnly said. Blood Gladiator Challenge, what's that? Jian Wushuang asked. Xiao Tiexing smiled and explained, Mr. Jian Yi, there would be a limit to bets placed in regular gamble fights, as you might know. It's the same in the Sure clan's arena. The upper limit is 1,000 primordial stones at max. Therefore, if you want to obtain 10,000 primordial stones in one go, you would have to win 10 consecutive gamble fights. In addition, the arena's management will lower the odds upon noticing your excessively strong abilities, which will allow you to win with certainty. This will then make it even harder to obtain those 10,000 primordial stones. However, challenging blood gladiators is completely different, as the bet's upper limit which can be placed on a blood gladiator is 5,000 primordial stones, not to mention those bets could be constantly accumulated. For example, if you brought 5,000 primordial stones to a gamble fight and win a game, the next game's bet will be 10,000, and winning that game will yield you 20,000, which can then be accumulated for the next round and so on. This is the only way you could win many primordial stones in one go at the arena. However, the condition is that you must first win 5 consecutive games before you can stop when taking up the Blood Gladiators Challenge. It's without the need to mention that the arena will pick your opponents who won't be too ridiculous, as they will pick someone close to your standards. For example, the 5 opponents you'll go against are going to be primary level ultimate gods, and there won't be any high level ultimate gods appearing if Mr. Jian Yi is to challenge the Blood Gladiators. Understood, answered Jian Wushuang. The bet's upper limit could reach 5,000 primordial stones when taking up the Blood Gladiators Challenge, with his winnings being doubled at every round. However, he had to finish 5 games before he could leave. If he lost even one of the 5 games, not only would he lose all his bets, he might even lose his life. I'm afraid that the arena would pick my next opponents according to my performance in the 5 gamble fights. They would probably send mighty similar level experts to defeat me and make it difficult for me to leave with the primordial stones I've won. Therefore, I'm afraid it won't be so easy to win those 5 games, said Jian Wushuang. Indeed. The Blood Gladiators Challenge is not for just about anyone, and neither could everyone hold themselves together for their 5 games. The gladiatorial arena won't easily allow you to bring home your winnings, hence many tried challenging those blood gladiators and usually could only win 2 to 3 gamble fights before losing their lives in the end, said Xiao Tiexing. It's no doubt that one's risk is directly proportional to his final winnings. There have been several challengers who succeeded in the Blood Gladiators Challenge. They not only won a huge amount of primordial stones but even became very famous in the end. As far as I know, there's a peak ultimate god general in the Territorial Lord's official army who succeeded in the arena's Blood Gladiators Challenge. Mr. Jian Yi, you're a genius in every aspect and can already easily kill high-level ultimate gods while being at the primary level ultimate god. You even managed to safely retreat when facing a peak ultimate god. Winning 5 games shouldn't be a problem if you do indeed take up the arena's Blood Gladiators Challenge. As for primordial stones, Your total winnings would be 160,000 pieces if you placed a bet of 5,000 primordial stones followed by winning 5 consecutive games. Jian Wushuang felt tempted when he heard that. He had reached the peak of first-class Divine Demon and only needed 20,000 to 30,000 primordial stones before making a breakthrough to peak Divine Demon. However, cultivating towards the ultimate God realm would require even more primordial stones once he reached peak Divine Demon. 160,000 primordial stones were not a small figure for Jian Wushuang. The Blood Gladiator Challenge would most definitely be dangerous and difficult for most people, but it was probably nothing for Jian Wushuang. Tiexin, I've exhausted all my primordial stones obtained at Dark Thunder territory. You still have 6,000 pieces. Lend me 5,000 and when I've completed the Blood Gladiators Challenge, I'll return you double the amount. Jian Wushuang smiled. No problem. Xiao Tiexin agreed without a second thought. In that case, lead the way, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Jian Wushuang headed toward the Shi clan's gigantic gladiatorial arena with Xiao Tiexin leading the way. The gladiatorial arena was incredibly noisy. There were probably a few 100,000 people sitting tightly together in the audience seats with many of them hysterically shouting and roaring. The noises could probably shake the heavens. In the arena center was a giant battlefield. 2 peak divine demons giving their all and fighting violently on the battlefield as there could only be one survivor. Chapter 2535, Gladiatorial Arena? That's pretty crazy, exclaimed Jian Wushuang while he took in the battlefield sight. Those who dare come and gamble fight at this arena are crazy, said Xiao Tiexin. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and immediately recalled his past lives' younger days. During that time he obsessively upgraded his abilities and also went to the arena for deathmatch gamble fights to obtain more cultivation elixir because of a woman humiliating him. He was only a teen then and was lucky he won in the end. He wanted to laugh as he recalled how naive he was during those days. Tiexin, I'll register for the gamble fight. Wait for me here, said Jian Wushuang. Okay. Xiao Tiexin nodded and seated herself. Jian Wushuang went to the arena's registrar with the usher's guidance. It was an empty field with several cultivators there other than Jian Wushuang. Most of them were waiting to go on with only a very few still lining up to register. That's quite a lot of people. Jian Wushuang looked around at those people who were in the Divine Demon realm with their levels ranging between second class, first class and peak divine demons. However, there were no ultimate gods there. It was rather normal as ultimate gods were considered experts at Northern Dark Star. They would be placed in a rather high position regardless if they joined the official army or one of the continent's clans, hence erasing the need for them to be involved in such arena gambling fights. Even if they did, they were gambling and fighting to gain experience or like Jian Wushuang who merely wished to earn a huge amount of primordial stone. However, there were not many such ultimate gods. Jian Wushuang queued to register and it was his turn soon. Leave your name in the jade slip beside, show us your divine power aura and your bets before waiting here, spoke a black-robed old man sitting next to the desk slowly without even raising his head to look at Jian Wushuang. His only action was passing a jade slip toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took the jade slip but did not do anything. The black-robed old man impatiently instructed, "Faster, there are still many waiting behind you." "Well, I would like to challenge the Blood Gladiators," said Jian Wushuang plainly. The old man immediately raised his head as soon as he said that. Every cultivator in the field who was waiting for their turns also turned their gazes at Jian Wushuang. The entire place fell silent. "What did you just say?" asked the black-robed old man. "I would like to challenge the Blood Gladiators. Is there a problem?" Jian Wushuang said. "Oh no. You can of course. The Blood Gladiator Challenge rules are written there. You can of course make the challenge as long as you are confident, but I would like to ask for you to show your divine power aura." The black-robed old man's attitude toward Jian Wushuang became more polite. The Blood Gladiator Challenge was the most unique gamble fight way in the gladiatorial arena. This kind of gamble fight was incredibly cruel and unfair, but with amazingly huge rewards. In normal circumstances, those who had the galls to challenge those blood gladiators were mostly very competent experts at their levels who were also very confident about themselves. The black-robed old man surely did not dare treat them like everyone else toward such experts. Jian Wushuang shook his body under the black stone's disguise as he projected his divine power aura outwards. Ultimate God? Everyone around was once again shocked. Why would an ultimate god show up in a place for gamble fights? Not to mention he was challenging the incredibly merciless blood gladiators. The black-robed old man inquired, "So you're an honorable ultimate god. May I know what's your name and how much you would like to bet, sir?" My name is Jianghu, and isn't the bet's upper limit for the Blood Gladiator Challenge 5,000 primordial stones? I'll place that amount as the bet. Jianghu took out an interspatial ring which contained 5,000 primordial stones within soon as he finished speaking. 5,000 primordial stones as the bet. The old man was shocked. Those surrounding people were also gasping in surprise. 5,000 primordial stones was a huge number even for an ultimate god. At least, it was not something any primary-level ultimate god could afford. However, that Jianghu wanted to place 5,000 primordial stones as his bet. It meant that the total primordial stones that he could potentially bring home from the arena would amount to 160,000 if he won all 5 games in the Blood Gladiator Challenge. How large a number was 160,000 primordial stones? Even a top-tier clan like the Sher clan who owned this gladiatorial arena would probably feel pain from losing such a big amount. After taking a deep breath, the black-robed old man respectfully said, "Please wait for a little bit, sir. You'll need to immediately inform our supervisor and we shall arrange a blood gladiator to be your opponent." Very well. Jianghu nodded slightly. The black-robed old man immediately entered the gladiatorial arena's inner layer while ignoring the others who were waiting to register. Jianghu was not in a hurry and merely waited in the field quietly. The cultivators around him occasionally looked over toward him with awe and respect. In a delicately built room at the gladiatorial arena's inner layer, a primary-level ultimate god wants to challenge a blood gladiator? An elegant lady who was wearing a snow-white fleece dress sat calmly in there as the black-robed old man stood respectfully before her. In a 10-year average, there isn't even a person who would come to challenge. Moreover, those who come are usually some divine demons, and now we have an ultimate god? On top of that, he's betting 5,000 primordial stones. Looks like he's pretty confident about himself. Interesting. The elegant lady smiled faintly. Oh yes, what's his name? His name is Jianghu. I've checked with the clan's intelligence department, but it seems like no one knows about this Jianghu, said the old man. If the clan's intelligence has no information about him, that means he's a newcomer in the northern Darkstar continent. An unknown expert in the continent who probably came from one of the wildernesses, muttered the elegant lady before instructing. Go on and make the arrangements. Simply pick 2 opponents for him and test him out first. Aye. The black-robed old man bowed and left immediately. On the battlefield located in the arena center, one of the 2 fighters who were fighting had died and hence a winner had been decided. The audience remained to be incredibly noisy even with the battle being over. At that moment, a purple-clad middle-aged man who was the arena's host walked into the center of the battlefield. Chapter 2536, Selecting Blood Gladiator. Ladies and gentlemen. The purple-clad middle-aged man's voice resonated in the entire gladiatorial area with the help of his divine power and completely overpowered those noises from the crowd. The arena quickly quieted down. The purple-clad middle-aged man cleared his throat and said with a rather excited voice, "Dear guests, we have just been paid a visit by a certain ultimate god called Sir Jianghu. He placed a bet of 5,000 primordial stones and wishes to challenge the arena's craziest and most unique blood gladiator." As soon as those words were spoken, the quiet arena was suddenly filled with waves of roars from the audience. All the audiences in the arena stood up and shouted, "Blood gladiators, someone actually wants to challenge the blood gladiators. This is so crazy. A supposedly respectable ultimate god actually wants to challenge blood gladiators?" The passion of more than 100,000 audiences in the arena had completely lit up. "Is it starting soon?" Xiao Tiexing casually sat in an audience's seat with a faint smile. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's invite Mr. Jianghu to enter the arena," said the purple-clad middle-aged man passionately. As soon as his voice faded, Jianghu moved with a quick sway and swiftly appeared in the middle of the battlefield after being led to one side of the arena. His appearance caused the audience's gazes locking on him. The more than 100,000 pairs of eyes stared right at him. "He's that Jianghu? He seems very young." Thanks, such a handsome young man. I like, don't be deceived by his young look. He's a true ultimate god expert. God knows how many years he has been cultivating. He could be an old monster. I hear he needs to win 5 consecutive games when challenging blood gladiators. Moreover, all of his opponents are selected by the arena, making the chances of him succeeding very low unless he's an extremely terrifying genius who could fight against higher realm opponents. Indeed, I've been living in the northern Darkstar continent for so many years and heard quite a few blood gladiator challenges. It's already very impressive if there's even a 1 in 10 challenge that succeeded. Furthermore, the one who succeeded is only a second-class divine demon. It's exactly because of his low cultivation level which made it easier for him to challenge those of a higher realm. That's how he succeeded. However, this guy is an ultimate god after all. 5,000 primordial stones is the highest betting limit in this arena. That's a huge amount. If he succeeded in the challenge, doesn't that mean he'll bring home 160,000 primordial stones? How could this arena and its benefactor, the Sher clan, let him get away with it? Look at him, he's definitely gonna die on the battlefield. There were all sorts of discussions among the audiences. Most people were not confident in Jian Wushuang. It was not only because Jian Wushuang was currently an ultimate god which made winning all 5 battles to be extra difficult. The most important matter was his placed bet was too large. The Sher clan who's behind this gladiatorial arena would find every way to kill or make him stay. Otherwise, 160,000 primordial stones were not a financial burden the Sher clan was willing to bear. Xiao Chexing was sitting in a corridor and sneering at all the argy-bargy around her. These people have no idea how terrifying Jian Yi's abilities are. He's someone who continuously topples 3 Dark Thunder territories prefectures and slaying high-level ultimate gods by himself. Even though the Sher clan is one of Northern Darkstar Continent's top-tier clans, they would not be able to find another primary-level ultimate god who could withstand Mr. Jian Yi despite having controlling rights to everything. Xiao Chexing was absolutely confident about Jian Wushuang. That confidence came from her personally observing Jian Wushuang's abilities. In the battlefield center, the purple-clad middle-aged man spoke again. "Dear guests, let's welcome Mr. Jian Yi's first battle. His opponent is Mr. Mo Xing." A muscular figure violently glided over and landed on the ground in the middle of the battlefield. He was a 2-meter-tall middle-aged burly man. The man's face was covered in a beard as his vicious aura radiated through the heavens like a fierce living beast. As he appeared, the ground under his feet cracked from being unable to bear his weight. The audience once again broke into an uproar upon seeing him. "It's Mo Xing, Sir Mo Xing. Good God, this is only the first battle and they already sent Sir Mo Xing. This Mo Xing has fought head-to-head with 4 primary-level ultimate gods in this arena previously and won all of them. He's definitely incredibly strong among the primary-level ultimate gods." A lot of people began to pity Jian Wushuang. His opponent was already so strong in the first round and they would only get stronger in the 4 forthcoming games. Let's not waste any more time. The first battle of the Blood Gladiator Challenge will now begin. The purple-clad middle-aged man announced before going away, leaving Jian Wushuang and Mo Xing on the battlefield. The audience began to get agitated. Numerous audiences began screaming with some calling Mo Xing's name while others called out Jian Yi. On the battlefield, Jian Wushuang and Mo Xing stared at each other from a distance. Mo Xing sneered, "Kid, you got some guts challenging the Blood Gladiators. Show me what you got." Jian Wushuang's expression was indifferent. "Umph." Mo Xing did not waste another word and swept out a horrifying vicious aura from his body. He already looked like a fierce beast and was even more beast-like when his figure turned into an exotic beast halfway through gliding toward Jian Wushuang and suddenly appeared right before and pounced at him. His right hand turned into a claw equipped with sharp nails which reflected cold lights. Slash. The claw swung. It produced a noise that made both of them shudder as though space was being slashed open. The sharp claw went right through Jian Wushuang's body like a light beam but did not make contact with anything substantial. What? Mo Xing was stunned and felt a cold aura immediately come from his side. Mo Xing suddenly understood what was going on and instantly waved his claws to protect himself. Clack, clack, clack. 3 clashing sounds were heard. Mo Xing was being thrown off his feet with the first 2 clashes while the last clash caused by Jian Wushuang's sword hit against Mo Xing's body armor. Mo Xing's face turned red with a trace of blood flowing out of his mouth as he was already standing on the battlefield's edge. Chapter 2537. 3 consecutive wins. He fearfully looked at Jian Wushuang before immediately bowing and respectfully said, "Thank you for holding back." Jian Wushuang retracted his sword and did not say anything more. Mo Xing immediately exited the battlefield. Around the arena, the more than 100,000 audiences were dumbfounded by the spectacle. An uproar like a surging tsunami followed suit after the audience's momentary shock. It's a win. Jian Yi wins the first Blood Gladiator Challenge. Winning is for sure, but I didn't foresee him winning so easily. If he didn't hold back on the last hit, Mo Xing will probably be dead by now. Amazing. This Jian Yi is truly amazing. Countless audiences were maniacally cheering for Jian Wushuang. However, Jian Wushuang looked extremely calm while standing on the battlefield and waiting for his second opponent. In the delicate room at the gladiatorial arena's inner layer, the elegant lady was scrutinizing every detail of the battle. This Jianghu is fast and knows how to leave behind an apparition. He has made a breakthrough to the spacetime law first stage. In addition, his sword skills are extraordinary. The elegant lady squinted. It's a shame that Mo Xing is too weak, as he hasn't even reached primary level ultimate god, hence he couldn't force Jianghu to show more of his abilities and tactics. For his next opponent, get him someone a little stronger who is at least peak of primary level ultimate god. The black-robed old man nodded respectfully and went off to make the arrangements. Jian Wushuang's second Blood Gladiator challenge soon began. His second opponent was a short and skinny old man who seemed very weak, but his abilities were extraordinary and definitely at the peak of primary level ultimate god. It was unlucky for him that his opponent was Jian Wushuang. In that battle, Jian Wushuang again quite easily defeated his opponent by simultaneously forming 3 apparitions accompanied by his sword technique. Jian Wushuang's third opponent was a red-haired young woman. The young woman's weapon was a long whip and had reached the first stage in 2 laws alongside her extremely outstanding whip skills and secret techniques. Her general abilities were even a little stronger than Xiao Tiexin in Jian Wushuang's opinion. Xiao Tiexin was someone who could simultaneously withstand 3 ultimate gods and still held the upper hand. Hence, this red-haired young woman's ability was unimaginable, and enjoyed great fame not only within the gladiatorial arena but also the entire northern Darkstar continent. In order not to reveal too much of his true abilities, Jian Wushuang did not unleash secret techniques in his battle, hidden his true understanding of spacetime law, and suppressed his sword skills. As such, he needed to spend some effort before defeating the red-haired young woman. Jian Wushuang won 3 consecutive battles. The entire arena was already boiling. In the delicate room, the elegant lady remained seated, but her expressions showed a faint coldness. Hong Ying is considered extremely strong among the primary level ultimate gods. She could still fight a good fight when facing regular high-level ultimate gods but had also lost to him. It also seems like he's still holding back his true strength. The elegant lady slightly squinted. In the Blood Gladiators challenge, one had to fight 5 challenges and Jian Wushuang had already won 3 of them. Only 2 battles were remaining. Get Tu Ying, instructed the elegant lady. Aye. The black-robed old man nodded and immediately exited. The black-robed old man soon brought in a devilish-looking black-robed young man and stood before the elegant lady. Tu Ying, did you see the previous battles just now? The elegant lady looked below at him. Not for the first 2 games, but I saw his battle with Hong Ying. This Jianghu is truly capable. Based on what he has displayed, I see that he's no weaker than me, plus I get a feeling that he's still holding out on us. I probably only have a 40% winning chance in a head-on fight against him, said the black-robed devilish man called Tu Ying. 40%, huh? The elegant lattice eyes turned frosty. What about killing him? If you want me to kill him, I have a 70% confidence, said Tu Ying. Their conversation would sound strange if others heard it. How could he have a 70% chance of killing Jian Wushuang while only having a 40% chance to win him in a head-on fight? You will take the next battle then, but remember that I don't want you to defeat him. I want you to kill him off. The elegant lattice voice was cold. He has already won 3 of the 5 Blood Gladiator challenges. It's time to finish it now while the crowd's emotions are still rather high. Understood. Tu Ying smiled devilishly before turning around and left. Not long after, Tu Ying appeared in the battlefield's central area. He came before Jian Wushuang. The audience immediately recognized him as soon as he appeared. It's Sir Tu Ying. Is Sir Tu Ying going to personally fight him? Sir Tu Ying is the most powerful and prized primary-level ultimate god fighter in this gladiatorial arena. I thought he'd only appear in the 5th battle, but now he's already appearing during the 4th. This Jianghu is in big troubles. The audiences were discussing. Jian Wushuang looked extremely cold without showing any expressions as he took a glance at Tu Ying. Tu Ying humbly and respectfully greeted Jian Wushuang. Jianghu, yes? I hope to exchange some pointers with you one. Go ahead. Jian Wushuang did not waste any time. Please be careful then. Tu Ying gave him a friendly warning and vanished into thin air in a flash. Whoosh. A ghastly figure appeared next to Jian Wushuang along with layers of blade shadows concurrently formed from the cold battle blade headed directly toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang remained still, but his blood mountain sword was slightly raised and blocked the battle blade in front of him. Dang. The sound of metals clashing was heard as Tu Ying smiled devilishly and with a shattering noise. Stern beams of blade light exploded. His continuous swinging created colorful blade lights which left behind traces of a shiny blade river in the void. This guy's blade technique is pretty good. Jian Wushuang secretly exclaimed. The 7-star secret technique within his body was already activated. After that, his violently surging divine power enabled Jian Wushuang to easily block Tu Ying's blade. At first glance, Jian Wushuang was only able to passively ward off Tu Ying's relentless attacks and kept retreating as though he was on the losing side. Jian Wushuang's expression remained as calm as ever regardless of Tu Ying's fierce attacks. Is that your full capabilities? Jian Wushuang looked at Tu Ying. Tu Ying's abilities were slightly stronger than the red-haired young woman, Hong Ying, who crossed hands against Jian Wushuang a while ago, but there was still a limit regardless of how strong he was. Chapter 2538. Murderous intention. Did he just completely ward off my saber? Tu Ying looked surprised. That's enough. Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold. His body concurrently transformed into 7 apparitions from not wanting to waste time mucking around with Tu Ying. He was faster than before, while his sword skills had also improved to be more seamless and flitting. His strength was slightly revealed. He instantly switched from defense to offense. On the contrary, Tu Ying strenuously started madly warding off Jian Wushuang's sword attacks and barely able to hold on any longer. I'm going to lose. Tu Ying was aware and tried to distance himself from Jian Wushuang when he could no longer resist those attacks. It's amazing you can concurrently produce so many apparitions. Your understanding of space-time law is certainly quite high. Not to mention your outstanding swordsmanship, said Tu Ying admiringly. Thank you, said Jian Wushuang as he withdrew his blood mountain sword. Suddenly, boom. Tu Ying's blood started boiling. He was gearing up to perform his most powerful secret technique. His speed had increased by several folds in an instant, and he appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in a crazy forward dash. He held a saber in his hand which was shining with a cold light, and he was aiming it at Jian Wushuang's head. He was moving swiftly all of a sudden. The spectators were convinced that Tu Ying had given up, but who would have thought that he would make a comeback shot? He was acting so humble and polite before, but his face now turned distorted in scowls of rage. His gaze became inhuman with strong desires to kill. Idiot, the rules clearly state that the battle is only over when one party leaves the gladiatorial arena. I was pretending earlier. Do you really think that I've really lost? Tu Ying sneered. He was the trump card among their primary level ultimate gods after all. He was chosen not only because he was extremely powerful, but also due to his cunning nature. The secret technique he was using ramped up his powers, not to mention he also had a killing blow which he spent a long time cultivating. He was convinced it would threaten a high-level ultimate god's defenses and eventually kill them. That was why when he told the elegant lady in the room that he only had a 40% chance of winning if he were to duel with Jian Wushuang, but was 70% sure he could kill Jian Wushuang. It was indeed true that he was not Jian Wushuang's opponent in a one-on-one fight. Life-or-death battles in the gladiatorial arena did not limit their participants to winning via frontal fights only. All kinds of methods including sneak and poison attacks were also acceptable. Tu Ying did not violate any rules of the gladiatorial arena. Go to hell. Don't blame me. Blame yourself for being stupid and naive. Tu Ying grinned slyly. His blade was less than a foot away from Jian Wushuang's head. A large hand suddenly grabbed the saber to his surprise. The saber's power surged as Tu Ying was trying his best to completely discharge his divine powers into the saber. However, the saber stayed motionless under the large hand's tight grip. How is that possible? Tu Ying stared at Jian Wushuang in bewilderment as he realized the large hand belonged to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had his eyes fixed on Tu Ying sternly like he was staring at a clown or an ant. Why you? Tu Ying was shocked and speechless. Actually, I didn't plan to kill you, but you brought it upon yourself. Go to hell, murmured Jian Wushuang, who seemed to be muttering to himself. The icy cold sword light flashed past and instantly killed Tu Ying as it penetrated his body without giving him even a second to react. Tu Ying's eyes widened with disbelief look on his face as the last breath escaped his body. This was Jian Wushuang's first kill since the many battle rounds he had. He merely defeated and subdued his previous 3 opponents without killing them. However, he had a murderous intent toward Tu Ying. Jian Yi should be declared the victory party, which brought an end to the battle as soon as Tu Ying died. Usually, tumult would break out from the spectators' seats from cheers for the winner. Instead, it was dead silence. Many spectators were dumbfounded and looked blankly at the scene in the gladiatorial arena. Everyone thought Jian Wushuang was going to die when Tu Ying executed his mysterious killing blow sneak attack, but it was Tu Ying who died in the end. His death was tragic as he initially thought of himself as being the strongest and capable of killing Jian Wushuang with his ultimate blow, But the reality was that his attack had been stopped by his opponent with just one hand. The audience did not expect this. The silence did not last long and was soon replaced by an earth-shaking roar. In an exquisite room within the inner circle of the gladiatorial arena. Bastard! The graceful woman stood up and stared at Jian Wushuang, who was seemingly unscathed on the gladiatorial arena. Her complexion became extremely ugly. Jian Yi has been hiding his real strength from the beginning, said the graceful woman solemnly. Are you saying he's not a primary-level ultimate god? Could he be a high-level ultimate god or even above that but was just masking his true divine powers? The black-robed old man looked over in surprise. No, the breath of his divine power seems normal. There's no trace of disguise, but he's powerful indeed. The average high-level ultimate gods have no chance to survive Tu Ying's killing blow, but we saw that not only was Jian Yi uninjured, but he could also even grip the saber with his bare hands. In order to grab a top primary-level ultimate god expert's most powerful attack with his bare hand alone, he must be a high-level ultimate god on top of having an extremely powerful divine body. I'm not surprised if his true strength is better than what he has shown us now. The graceful woman's eyes became stern. The black-robed old man asked, "What should we do now? The Blood Gladiators Challenge has 5 rounds in total and he has won 4 of them. Who do we send for the final battle? There is no one more powerful than Tu Ying among the primary-level ultimate gods." The graceful woman waved her hand. "Don't be flustered. Let Jian Yi wait while I report this situation to the Shi clan's head and seek for his decision." The black-robed old man nodded. The graceful woman would usually have made up her mind, but the bet was 160,000 primordial stones. Such a huge amount of primordial stone had exceeded the graceful woman's authority, and the Shi clan head must be alerted for a decision to be made. Chapter 2539, Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. The Shi clan was one of the top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar territory, hence naturally their residence was huge. In a grand hall, the head of the Shi clan, Shi Qianhan, was talking with 2 other people, and the 3 were seemingly equal as none of them had acted haughtily. Those 2 who could be with Shi Qianhan on equal footings were definitely not ordinary people. In fact, they were commanders of the army. At that instance, Shi Qianhan's expression changed with his brows knitted tightly as he received a message from the graceful woman. "What's the matter?" asked both commanders upon noticing the changes in Shi Qianhan's complexion. Something happened at the gladiatorial arena. A primary-level ultimate god who joined the Blood Gladiators Challenge had won 4 games in a row, said Shi Qianhan. Blood Gladiators? The 2 commanders were surprised. One of the commanders wearing scarlet armor smiled and said, "It's not easy to challenge the Blood Gladiators, especially the ultimate gods experts. He must be extremely powerful if this person can win 4 games in a row. I haven't seen a Blood Gladiator for a long time." The other commander also smiled. "I'm happy if there are new Blood Gladiators, but the current problem is Jian Yi's very large bet. He bet 5,000 primordial stones, and upon success, the Shi clan will lose 160,000 primordial stones at once. That's not a small sum," said Shi Qianhan. 160,000 primordial stones? The 2 commanders were shocked. The Shi clan was indeed unwilling to lose such a large amount of primordial stones. "I hope both of you can help me this time since we have a great friendship," said Shi Qianhan. "Both of us are peak ultimate gods. What can we do for you?" asked the scarlet-armored commander. "There's no need for both of you to take action in person. Are there any powerful primary-level ultimate gods in the army? It's best if there's someone who's strong enough to face a high-level ultimate god," explained Shi Qianhan. "A powerful primary-level ultimate god?" The 2 commanders exchanged looks between each other as they knew Shi Qianhan wanted to find a suitable expert from the army to face off Jian Yi. It seemed impossible to get a primary-level ultimate god from within the Shi clan to defeat Jian Yi, hence Shi Qianhan was hoping someone from the army could do it. The army had many geniuses and experts among them after all. Some of them were definitely great, powerful, and brave warriors. This was not the only time the Shi clan received help from the army. There were many occasions when they had to win the Blood Gladiator Challenge's final battle, and their last resort was to get help from the army. It was only possible for the Shi clan who had an excellent relationship with the powerful army leaders. It's not difficult to find someone from the army. In fact, I have a candidate under my command who is a primary-level ultimate god, yet is able to compete against high-level ultimate gods and might even have a good chance of winning. He's currently serving as an army captain, which is a fitting position for a high-level ultimate god. However, it's a pity I sent him on a mission not long ago. There's no way that he could return in a short time, said the scarlet-armored commander. Shi Qianhan frowned. It was no use even though he could defeat Jian Yi as he was going to be away for a while. I can recommend someone to you, said the other white-robed commander. Who? Shi Qianhan immediately looked over. Ancient witch, said the white-robed commander. Oh, it's her. The scarlet-armored commander was taken aback. Ancient witch? Who's she? Is she a primary-level ultimate god in the army? Shi Qianhan asked. No, she's not from the army. Some members of our army accidentally provoked her not long ago. As a result, she taught those people a hard lesson. Those members later got their platoon consisting of a high-level ultimate god and 4 primary-level ultimate gods to avenge her, but they were miserably defeated, said the white-robed commander. Really? Is she that powerful? Did you say she's just a primary-level ultimate god? Shi Qianhan seemed hopeful. Of course she's just a primary-level ultimate god, the white-robed commander smiled and continued. The issue became worse such that the leaders were alarmed. We decided not to act rashly and we investigated her origin instead. We later discovered that she's from the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. Shi Qianhan was taken aback. Is that the group which only accepts the cream of the crop as their members? The white-robed commander smiled and nodded. Yes. After discovering her identity, the commanders were shocked and immediately ordered those members who provoked her to apologize, and the matter was finally put at rest. Shi Qianhan finally understood after the explanation. He had also heard of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. If the ancient witch was part of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion, no one would dare to meddle with her. Even the Northern Darkstar Territory's territorial lord would not dare to offend her. In terms of strength, Ancient Witch has defeated a high-level ultimate god before. She's much more powerful than the army's primary-level ultimate gods. If you can seek her help, you won't have to worry about Jian Yi winning the Blood Gladiators challenge. The white-robed commander sneered. That's true. However, the Shi clan has no connections with her who had such a great background. Why will she help me? Shi Qianhan frowned. You'll have to try hard and offer her something great in return. I've heard the Ancient Witch is especially fond of competing with other genius experts. If you tell her there's someone in the gladiatorial arena who's in the same realm, but with similar if not better combat prowess than her, she might be tempted to fight. Provided there are some rewards added as well, said the white-robed commander. Shi Qianhan's eyes immediately lit up. Haha, thank you for telling me about her. Shi Qianhan did not delay any longer and set off to meet the Ancient Witch. Jian Wushuang was waiting patiently on the huge and almost borderless gladiatorial arena with his eyes closed. The more than 100,000 spectators around were also waiting. They knew the Shi clan must be looking for a strong expert to join the final battle. The expert invited must be very powerful seeing how long they had to wait. This in turn would make for a more exciting Blood Gladiators Challenge finale. Everyone waited for almost a day before an usher finally entered the gladiatorial arena while guiding a black-clothed lady with a somewhat menacing appearance. Chapter 2540, Ancient Witch. All eyes had fallen on her as soon as the black-clothed lady appeared. Is she the expert specially invited by the Shi clan? She looks like a weak lady to me. Don't underestimate her. The Shi clan will never make fun of 160,000 of primordial stones unless they have gone crazy. The spectators were talking. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes and looked at the black-clothed lady. He could sense the lady had practiced some sort of technique to mask her true aura so that none could guess how powerful she truly was. He knew she must be powerful if the Shi clan sought her out as a candidate to face him in the final battle. So, you are Jian Yi? The black-clothed lady, the Ancient Witch, blinked her eyes and peered at Jian Wushuang. I hear from the Shi clan that you're very powerful, so I'm keen to meet you. Make your move. Jian Wushuang was indifferent. Haha, you do have the charisma of a powerful person. The Ancient Witch cracked an evil grin before a black spear appeared in her hand. In a room within the inner layer of the gladiatorial arena, the graceful woman stood alongside a black-robed old man as her eyes fixed on the gladiatorial arena. Can that lady threaten Jian Yi at all? The black-robed old man was doubtful. I'm uncertain, but she should be quite good. The clan head had personally invited her after all. She's famous for having defeated a high-level ultimate god, said the graceful woman. Defeated a high-level ultimate god? The black-robed old man was stunned. They have started. The graceful woman was observing intently. The Ancient Witch made the first move. A black net seemed to have engulfed the entire gladiatorial arena as she moved. The Ancient Witch completely melted into the darkness and disappeared. Jian Wushuang coldly stood there while discharged his soul powers but was unable to locate the ancient witch's position within the darkness. She has an excellent command of the dark law, Jian Wushuang concluded. Swoosh. A cold light suddenly appeared right beside Jian Wushuang without any signs. It had a terrifying penetrating power aiming directly for Jian Wushuang's head that pierced through and wrung the void. Jian Wushuang was startled as the cold light almost brushed his nose bridge. Oh! The ancient witch who reappeared was surprised that Jian Wushuang so easily avoided her spear. However, her imposing aura started surging the next second. The black spear in her hand instantly evolved from a venomous serpent into an awakened dragon. Rumbling. The void was shaking. The spear was eager to attack and she thrust it toward Jian Wushuang in anger. Jian Wushuang retreated and was so close to being stabbed. The ancient witch raged when she saw that. Be a man and fight me instead of dodging around like a coward. Jian Wushuang chuckled in his heart as he had also decided not to elude her attacks anymore. Well, this is the fifth and final battle. There's no need to hide my strength anymore. Let's unleash our full potential, shall we? Jian Wushuang's face sank. Swoosh. He broke into a terrifying speed with his 11 apparitions and formed a total of 12 figures including his real body. 12 identical figures were positioned around the gladiatorial arena with no way of distinguishing which was the real Jian Wushuang from either one's naked eyes or soul powers. In the inner layers room, the graceful woman's eyes were cold like a frozen lake. It's indeed true that he's still concealing his true strength. He must have a very high understanding of the space-time law if he's able to form 11 apparitions. His strength is perhaps equivalent to a peak ultimate god. Jian Wushuang had only used 7 when he fought against Tu Ying in the 4th battle. However, Jian Wushuang was moving like a phantom with his 11 apparitions on the loose at the same time as he appeared in front of the ancient witch with his explosive sword skills. Slash, 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 slash. There was a blurry trail of sword shadows as he casually waved his arm. That was right, he was moving around casually and effortlessly. He was incredibly fast under the spacetime law's influence. On the other hand, the ancient witch who was completely contained in the darkness fiercely thrust her spear. She was very skillful with the spear and definitely, the best spear handler Jian Wushuang had encountered so far. Jian Wushuang perceived the ancient witch's spear skills might be even better than his own sword skills. Unfortunately, she was nowhere near Jian Wushuang's speed. The ancient witch was completely at a disadvantage when the two fought head-on. Haha, you are great indeed. Although she was suppressed by Jian Wushuang from her somewhat restricted movements, she was not angry at all. On the contrary, she seemed to be quite surprised. The dark light that enshrouded the void suddenly converged and wrapped around the ancient witch as her complexion turned cold and her divine power breath thickened. At the same time, there was an earth-shaking rumbling sound before a strong killing intent covered the area with astonishing spear intent. An infinite spear world instantly appeared in the arena. Spear world. Jian Wushuang was impressed. Some of the spectators recognized the ancient witch's technique. It was a complete display of spear world. The spear world was somewhat similar to sword world as they were both principal worlds. The sword world was a sword cultivator's higher realm achievement in order to establish their very own sword world. On the other hand, the spear world was created by spear cultivators. They were similar in terms of power and characteristics. The ancient witch's spear world seemed to be recently established as it was evidently not as powerful as the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor's sword world in the Dark Thunder territory. In addition, a spear world also posed a lesser threat to Jian Wushuang as compared with a sword world. Nonetheless, it was still a principal world. Impressive. You're indeed a super genius from the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion since you're able to display your very own spear world while just at the primary level ultimate god realm. The two army commanders appeared at the spectators' seat without warning. They were surprised from seeing the scenes in the gladiator arena. Generally, only Earth ultimate gods could learn a principal world with very few peak ultimate gods capable of doing so. Neither of the two of them had reached that level. However, the ancient witch was able to establish her own spear world. Both commanders were envious of her. Chapter 2541. 1. The spear world displayed had an oppressive effect on Jian Wushuang. Under the effects of her spear world, the ancient witch had an advantage in terms of a great improvement in her spear skills. Jian, let's fight now, said the ancient witch as she struck with her spear. Her speed and power had skyrocketed, making her attacks more versatile and efficient. Jian Wushuang felt pressured. He went all out with his sword skills but was still suppressed by the ancient witch. She's damn good with the spear. Jian Wushuang admiringly exclaimed. She was good with the spear and had her own spear world on top of an in-depth law understanding and techniques. In Jian Wushuang's opinion, her overall strength was much stronger than many high-level ultimate gods. She was an exceptional genius, and there were probably only one or two who could be similar to her level in the entire northern Darkstar territory. There might perhaps even be none at all. Jian Wushuang was curious how the Shi clan found such a strong opponent to fight against him. Jian Yi, you'll lose if this is all you're capable of. The ancient witch let out a peal of haughty laughter and hurled the spear in her hand. A cloud of darkness instantly filled the space as a majestic black dragon appeared out of thin air and aimed ferociously at Jian Wushuang. The terrifying power had completely restricted Jian Wushuang's body. Oh well, enough of playing around. Jian Wushuang's gaze became stern as the divine powers within his body were completely released. Jian Wushuang drew out his sword. An overwhelming feeling of hatred spontaneously aroused. He was determined and unfaltering. His sword shadow, accompanied with an intense feeling of hatred, swept across the void and left behind a trace of hateful path toward heaven. Boom. Sword lights flashed past. The black dragon was instantly split into half as a large amount of divine power madly stretched out and around. The ancient witch was horrified as her body was flung out into the distance. She had only managed to stabilize herself when she was almost at the arena's edge. At the same time, she felt nauseous and spat out blood. The ancient witch stared at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. Your divine powers. You're obviously only a primary level ultimate god. Why is your divine power so strong? Yes, it was not the sword technique that had defeated her but his overwhelming divine powers contained within the sword move. Jian Wushuang's divine power was definitely not common among the primary level ultimate gods. Is it some sort of a secret technique? The ancient witch made a wild guess. However, Jian Wushuang's powerful divine power did not come from the secret technique, but himself. As a perfect chaotic creature, his divine powers were unmatched by ordinary cultivators. His true realm was actually the pinnacle of first-class divine demons, but his divine powers were much stronger than many primary-level ultimate gods. Along with the divine powers bestowed by the primordial void celestial body and seven-star secret technique which he just performed, the fusion of his divine powers was not inferior to those elite high-level ultimate gods. His divine powers would be even stronger had he performed divine god of punishment. It was no surprise the ancient witch was injured from just a single blow with such powerful divine powers combined with his splendid sword technique. You're flattering me. Jian Wushuang glanced at the ancient witch with his monotonous voice. You won this time, but don't ever let me see you again. I'll definitely get you back next time, snorted the ancient witch coldly before she turned and left. She felt heavy-hearted and troubled as she walked away. There's unexpectedly a primary-level ultimate god who's stronger than me in northern Darkstar territory. He's not slightly but a lot stronger than me. His divine powers are extremely strong in addition to his high understanding of the laws and great sword skills. Even among Dragon Phoenix Pavilion's ultimate god's disciples, I'm afraid no one is his match apart from Senior Sister Lung. Senior Sister Lung? The ancient witch thought of the beautiful woman but immediately abandoned her idea. Senior Sister Lung is too cold and aloof. It's impossible for her to agree with a fight against Jian Yi. She shook her head before walking away without any further thoughts. There was a huge uproar after she left the arena. He won, he did it. A new ultimate god blood gladiator is born. Amazing. Jian Yi is really amazing. Jian Yi. The entire arena was chanting Jian Wushuang's name. Experts were highly respected in every part of the world and Jian Wushuang was definitely one worthy of such. The spectators' frenzy cheered. Contrary to those spectators' enthusiasm, the graceful woman's and black-robed old man's face were gloomy and grim. She lost even after displaying her spear world. Jian Yi, the graceful woman's eyes were cold with murderous intent. The room door was suddenly flung open as a white-haired silver-robed man surrounded by a few people slowly walked in. Clan head. The graceful woman was startled. The white-haired silver-robed man was Shi Qianhan, head of the Shi clan. The ancient witch lost, reported the graceful woman in a low voice. I know. I've seen it from the spectator's seat. Shi Qianhan nodded with his unreadable facial expression. I can't blame the ancient witch as she has done her best. Her combat power is extremely strong even among the high-level ultimate gods, but she's nonetheless defeated by Jian Yi. It only shows that Jian Yi is stronger than her. The graceful woman nodded. The ancient witch did indeed give her best, but could not best Jian Wushuang. Now that Jian Yi has won 5 battles, he can take away 160,000 primordial stones from us, so... The graceful woman was put in a difficult situation. The gladiatorial arena had not made such huge profits even in the past 10,000 years. It was uncommon for someone to bet using primordial stones like Jian Wushuang, after all, as most people usually bet on ancient god divine power. Chapter 2542. Ignorant, let him have the 160,000 of primordial stones first, said Shi Qianhan. Really? The graceful woman was reluctant. It's just temporary. What's there to be worried about? Shi Qianhan sneered. You meant? The graceful woman immediately looked over. Jian Yi has won 5 blood gladiators in a row. We have to give him the 160,000 primordial stones, but I can always find ways to get them back from him. I don't think it's that difficult, said Shi Qian coldly. The graceful woman knew Shi Qianhan had a plan. Third elder, said Shi Qianhan. Yes, responded a gray-robed old man who came in with Shi Qianhan. I'll leave this to you. We have to take back the 160,000 primordial stones no matter what. As for Jian Yi, such a genius who can defeat a member of Dragon Phoenix Pavilion is rare. He must be extremely talented. You may first try to recruit him into the Shi clan, and once I've full control over him, he can have the 160,000 primordial stones if he needs it. 160,000 primordial stones are nothing when compared with a genius like him, said Shi Qianhan. What if he disagrees? Asked the gray-robed old man. Bring his body back along with the 160,000 primordial stones. Shi Qianhan's eyes turned cold. I understand. The gray-robed old man nodded and left right away. 7th elder, you'll wrap things up here. I'll return to the clan and await good news, said Shi Qianhan while glancing at the graceful woman. Yes. The graceful woman nodded. 5 consecutive battles victories. A huge number of spectators bore witness while Jian Wushuang was crowned as the new blood gladiator. This news would no doubt spread throughout the northern Darkstar territory like wildfire. The name Jian Yi would soon be known by every clan in the northern Darkstar territory. Master Jian Yi, these are the primordial stones you've just won. You may count them. The black-robed old man handed an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took the ring and nodded after scanning through. Jian Wushuang was happy the Shi clan did not try to negotiate and replace primordial stones with treasures of equivalent value. He did not linger in the arena after receiving the primordial stones. Along his way out of the arena, every cultivator who saw Jian Wushuang showed their respect. 2 figures appeared in front of Jian Wushuang before he left the gates. The 2 men, one wore a scarlet armor and the other was in a white robe. Jian Yi, the 3rd Army Commander, Bai Kong. The 8th Commander, Hua Xiong. They introduced themselves first. The army's commanders? Jian Wushuang was surprised. According to Xiao Qiaxin, the army's commanders were powerful peak ultimate gods, while their 1,000 subordinates were highly revered and rather powerful in the northern Darkstar territory. The commanders were respectable people that even the northern Darkstar territory's clans had to be polite and dared not offend them. He wondered why the 2 commanders appeared in front of him. Why are you looking for me? Jian Wushuang's expression was calm. We watched your battle with the Ancient Witch. You are indeed extremely talented. The Ancient Witch is a super genius from the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion and is in the same realm as you, yet she was defeated. It took us by surprise. The white-robed commander Bai Kong smiled. Dragon Phoenix Pavilion? Jian Wushuang quickly scanned through his mind only to realize he had never heard of them. However, the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion must be a very powerful force judging from both commanders' expressions before him. Otherwise they would not have such geniuses as the Ancient Witch. Jian Yi, we won't waste your time. Both of us think that you are extremely talented and have great potential, so we want to invite you to come with us and join the army, said Hua Xiong. Join the army? Jian Wushuang smiled but then resolutely shook his head. I appreciate both your kindness, but I don't plan to join the army for the time being nor any other clans. You don't want to? Hua Xiong frowned slightly. Jian Yi, you have to think about your current situation. You've been targeted by many people, but I will guarantee your safety if you're willing to join the army. No one will dare to meddle with you in the entire northern Darkstar territory, said Bai Kong. He meant what he said and was capable of doing so. The army commander in the northern Darkstar territory only obeyed the commands of the territorial lord. No one else dared to mess up with them in the entire northern Darkstar territory. Jian Wushuang would be safe under their protection such that even the Shi clan would not find fault with Jian Wushuang. I'm sorry, but I really don't plan to join the army. I'll go now. Jian Wushuang refused and moved to a side while trying to walk past them. Both of these commanders stood there with their faces turning a little ugly. This kid is too ignorant. Don't he know that we are actually saving him? Wuxiong was angry. I'm to be blamed for this. I shouldn't have pitted this genius and suggest taking him back to the army to save him. I thought we could grow closer to him, but who would have known that he doesn't even appreciate it? That's all right. He can't blame it on anyone since he wants to die, snorted Wuxiong coldly. Both commanders soon left. Jian Wushuang left the gladiatorial arena before both commanders. He took out a token and sent Xiao Tiexin a message once he left. Tiexin, find a place and stay low for now. They'll look for you later, said Jian Wushuang. What? Could it be that someone from the Shi clan has marked you? Xiao Tiexin immediately replied. Haha, I won 160 primordial stones. Any clan in their right minds won't be willing to give away such a large amount of primordial stones, right? Jian Wushuang smiled. He was very alert when he left the arena and noticed he was being tailed. You must be careful, said Xiao Tiexin. Don't worry, the Shi clan can't do anything to me. I'll entertain them if they want to play. Jian Wushuang was very confident. Chapter 2543. Failure in a magnificent hall inside Shi clan's mansion. Shi Qianhan waited quietly in this hall after returning from the gladiatorial arena. A burly old man with green eyes was also in the hall. This green-eyed old man was a high-level ultimate god in the Shi clan. Elder Yu, you've traveled far. Were there troubles in your journey? Shi Qianhan asked. Thank you for your concern. It's a rather smooth journey, albeit minor troubles when passing through Dark Thunder territory, but those bandits immediately flee after I mentioned our Shi clan. The green-eyed old man smiled. The Shi clan was one of Northern Darkstar continent top-tier clans and considered the second-largest force in the entire continent after the territorial lord. They were undoubtedly extremely powerful. Amidst Dark Thunder territory's rampant robberies, even the 18 prefectures had to give the Shi clan some face. The green-eyed old man suddenly asked, By the way, I hear something happened in the gladiatorial arena? Shi Qianhan coldly said, Well, something did happen. A primary-level ultimate god with unknown origins challenged the blood gladiators and won. He went wild with his bet and finally took home 160,000 primordial stone. Nonetheless, I've already asked the third elder to personally deal with this matter. I'm sure the third elder will return soon with the 160,000 primordial stones and that kid's corpse. The green-eyed old man gave an understanding look. At that very moment, third elder has returned, reported a Shi clan servant. Haha, he's back. Shi Qianhan happily exclaimed. The third elder who Shi Qianhan sent to deal with Jian Wushuang soon walked into the hall. He did not appear to be in a good mood. Third elder, did you kill Jian Yi? Shi Qianhan immediately asked. The third elder took a deep breath and answered with a low tone, I'm incompetent as I've neither killed Jian Yi nor brought back the 160,000 primordial stones. What? Shi Qianhan was shocked and deeply furrowed his brows. He pondered momentarily before asking, He has helpers? Is that why you failed to kill him? No. The third elder shook his head. I have 4 high-level ultimate gods while he's alone. Then why didn't you bring back those primordial stones? Shi Qianhan asked quizzically. We offered Jian Yi to join the Shi clan as per your instructions when we found him, but he refused without hesitation. After that, the 5 of us concurrently attacked him with intentions to kill, and although we managed to suppress him, we couldn't kill him, said the third elder. You couldn't kill him? Shi Qianhan was surprised. The third elder was one of Shi clan's 5 peak ultimate gods. A peak ultimate god joined forces with 4 other high-level ultimate gods, yet was unable to kill a primary-level ultimate god? How could this be? Jian Yi is much stronger than what we thought. He had shown only bits and pieces of his actual strength in the arena while keeping his true powers hidden. In the beginning, I watched from the sideline as the 4 high-level ultimate gods battled against him. He was able to subdue the 4 by himself without giving them a chance to unleash their attacks on him, said third elder. He's indeed only a primary-level ultimate god but is comparable to a top-tier high-level ultimate god when his divine power erupted. In addition, his swordsmanship and law understanding are also at the peak ultimate god level. The secret techniques which he executed are also extremely powerful. The third elder recalled Jian Wushuang's secret techniques in the battle earlier. The 1,000-foot-high golden god shadow was mighty with ocean-like golden divine power currents sweeping through while the huge golden prison could lock up everything within heaven and earth. There was also the golden armor strapped onto his body which enhanced his combat prowess. not forgetting his myriad of secret techniques. I tried my best and performed my strongest moves, yet was unable to hurt him at all. He probably knew we couldn't do anything to him, so he merely entertained us in the battle. He fought head-on against us for some time before deciding to leave via his enormous divine powers. There's no way we could catch up with him. He could have left much earlier but deliberately stayed on to make a sport of us before leaving unfazed. The third elder narrated the whole battle ordeal and even added in some of his assumptions. Shi Qianhan was perplexed after listening to the third elder. How come? How's that possible? He's merely a primary-level ultimate god, and you're saying that he deliberately faced a strong lineup consisting of 1 peak ultimate god and 4 high-level ultimate gods before calmly retreating? Shi Qianhan found the truth hard to digest. The green-eyed old man's expression suddenly changed while sitting next to Shi Qianhan. The green-eyed old man asked, "Third elder, what does this Jianghu look like? What are some of his noticeable traits? Was he using any particular secret techniques?" "I cannot describe his look well, but I'm sure someone from the gladiator arena would have recorded him using an image token. It'll be easy to find him. He wears a golden robe and appears to be very young. He's exceptionally good with the sword with a high understanding of space-time law. He's also able to concurrently discharge 11 apparitions," said third elder. "Golden robe, good with the sword, and a high understanding of space-time law?" the green-eyed old man murmured and suddenly sprang up from his seat. "It's him. Yes, it's him. Elder Yu, do you know him?" Shi Qianhan looked at the green-eyed old man. "No, I don't personally know him, but I've just heard of him from some of the 18 prefectures bandits when passing through the Dark Thunder territory," said the green-eyed old man. "Oh, what's the matter?" Shi Qianhan asked. "Not long ago, there's a sudden shift among the Dark Thunder territory's 18 prefectures. They're no longer the 18 prefectures and can currently only be referred to as the 15 prefectures because 3 prefectures had been completely ruined by someone formidable." The green-eyed old man filled in the detail. Chapter 2544, The Golden-Robed Man, 3 prefectures were destroyed? Shi Qianhan and the third elder were surprised. They had only learned about such news. The 3 exterminated prefectures are Demonic Moon, Heaven Poison, and Underworld. Although these 3 were the lowest-ranking prefectures among the 18 prefectures, all of them had a high-level ultimate god and around 10 primary-level ultimate gods under their command chain on top of countless bandits. Nonetheless, not even a single one of those bandits escaped the attack with all of them killed. I hear the man who destroyed the 3 prefectures is a golden-robed man of unknown origins, good with swords, well-versed in space-time law, and also a primary-level ultimate god. Shi Qianhan and third elders were startled by the news. He was dressed in a golden robe, good with the sword, and had a high understanding of space-time law. He was only a primary-level ultimate god, yet his immense combat powers allowed him to single-handedly exterminate 3 prefectures. The description seemed to fit the person they were after too well. The golden-robed man in the Dark Thunder territory who destroyed 3 prefectures was completely in line with Jianghu, who appeared in the northern Darkstar continent and took up the Blood Gladiators challenge. They were certain the golden-robed man who destroyed those 3 prefectures was indeed Jianghu. "Elder Yu, what happened after that?" "The 18 prefectures have always been known to stand together against outsiders. After Jianghu wiped out 3 of them, won't the other 15 prefectures want to hunt him down and kill him?" Shi Qianhan asked. Yes, the other 15 prefectures tried their best to kill him and had indeed found an opportunity. The Luo brothers from Bloodlight Prefecture and the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor managed to find the golden-robed man. However, the Luo brothers were unable to defeat the man even when using their famed fusion attack techniques. Although the Infernal Prefecture governor is much more powerful than the golden-robed man, he too was also unable to kill him and could only watch him leave, said the green-eyed old man. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor personally made a move but failed to knock that man off? Shi Qianhan and the third elder were stupefied. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor from Dark Thunder territory was well known throughout the northern Darkstar territory. He was recognized as the first-ranked expert among 18 prefectures in the Dark Thunder territory who was able to perform Sword World, and only a handful of people among peak ultimate gods in the northern Darkstar territory were able to defeat him. Although the Shi clan's third elder was also a peak ultimate god, his strength was inferior to the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor. It was no surprise the third elder failed if even an expert like the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was unable to catch hold of Jianghu. Damn it. I thought that Jianghu is just a slightly talented genius in sword skills. I never expected him to be that good, and that he's been hiding his true strength. Now, I know why he's so confident and dare to take up the Blood Gladiators challenge with a 5,000 primordial stones bet. If I'm a primary level ultimate god who's able to defeat 4 high level ultimate gods and left the battle scene under the Infernal Heart Governor's nose, he'll certainly challenge the Blood Gladiators. In the end, our intelligence network is too weak and we lacked reliable information. We asked for Jianghu's background check when he challenged the Blood Gladiators, but no one had informed us of what he did in the Dark Thunder territory. If I've known, I won't so easily let him challenge the Blood Gladiators. Shi Qianhan's face turned pale with anger burning in his eyes as he cursed. Both the green-eyed old man and third elder exchanged looks before the green-eyed old man said, "The Shi clan's intelligence network isn't to be blamed. The Dark Thunder territory incident only happened recently and the 18 prefectures are unwilling to expose their failures and probably intend to cover up the news. I only found out because a good friend of mine happens to be from the 18 prefectures and told me over some drinks, hence it's normal the Shi clan's intelligence network is unable to find out about him in time." Humph. Shi Qianhan coldly sighed before finally calming down. According to Elder Yu, even the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was unable to kill him. It doesn't make much sense to regret the outcome and hunt him down since this matter had occurred and the 160 primordial stones are currently in Jianghu's hands. In the entire northern Darkstar territory, the territorial lord is probably the only person capable of killing him. It seems impossible for Shi clan to retrieve the 160,000 primordial stones back, so we'll just have to suck it up. Shi Qianhan sighed lightly. 160,000 primordial stones were quite a lot for the Shi clan to let go of. Nevertheless, the primordial stones were with Jianghu and they were incapable of retrieving those stones from him. 160,000 primordial stones aren't going to topple the Shi clan. The crux now is whether hell hate us from the third elder's leveled best failure in attempting to retrieve those primordial stones. He's a very talented genius after all, and the Shi clan's future might turn bleak if we marked him, said the green-eyed old man. Let's see if he dares. Shi Qianhan sternly shouted, "We're already willing to take a step back. If he continues insisting on being aggressive and daunting, the Shi clan will pay regardless of the price to get him killed." Shi Qianhan was very confident in the Shi clan's capabilities. Although there were no experts in their clan capable of killing Jianghu, they could always call for help. Even Earth ultimate gods could be made to move with a sufficiently large bounty. He was not too worried about Jianghu's arrival. The green-eyed old man glanced at the third elder and said nothing. While the Shi clan was still in shock of what Jianghu did, Jianghu reunited with Xiaotiexin in a secluded void. "Jianghu, have you rid yourself of the Shi clan?" Xiaotiexin asked. The Shi clan is willing to spend the effort to hunt me down for those 160,000 primordial stones. They obviously underestimated me and merely sent a peak ultimate god along with 4 high-level ultimate gods to kill me, but their entire entourage has been toyed by me before I left without them noticing. I can only imagine the Shi clan leader being all worked up, sneered Jianghu. "You're pretty much safe since you could even escape under the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor's nose. There's no way you'd be killed unless they paid a great price to invite several peak ultimate gods and powerful experts by for assistance. I don't think the Shi clan will go to this extent for only 160,000 primordial stones," explained Xiaotiexin. "The Shi clan is sufficiently wealthy that losing 160,000 primordial stones is likely a small matter to them and probably won't take it too seriously. However, these primordial stones are extremely beneficial to me." Chapter 2545. Peak Divine Demon, 160,000 Primordial Stones. Jianghu eyes instantly lit up. He was only a step away from Peak Divine Demon and 20 to 30,000 primordial stones should be sufficient for his breakthrough. Not only was he able to make a breakthrough into Peak Divine Demon realm with those 160,000 primordial stones but could also accumulate sufficient divine powers for his breakthrough into the ultimate god realm. Jianghu soon found a secret chamber and began refining those primordial stones. His refinement speed may be terrifying, but refining all 160,000 primordial stones would still require quite some time. It took him 1 month to refine the 90,000 primordial stones he received from the 3 prefectures in the Dark Thunder territory. He needed nearly 2 months to refine the 160,000 primordial stones. In 2 months, Jianghu had completely refined those 160,000 primordial stones and transformed them into his divine powers. It was well within expectation for his breakthrough into the Peak Divine Demon realm on top of also gaining a lot of divine powers. "I can almost fight with any average Peak Ultimate gods before my breakthrough into Peak Divine Demon realm, but now..." Jian Wushuang tightly clasped his hands together and felt his elevated strength. My strength isn't much different from an average peak ultimate god once I completely unleash my divine powers. Combining my spacetime law understanding and sword skills that aren't any weaker than a peak ultimate god's with several of my secret techniques, I can fight against the average peak ultimate gods. I might even gain an easy win if I encounter weaker peak ultimate gods. His strength had once again greatly increased with his progress from first-class divine demon to peak divine demon. This was only from being a small cultivation realm advancement. His strength would drastically be uplifted if he made another breakthrough to the ultimate god realm. He needed more primordial stones for that to happen. I have 160,000 primordial stones, but only used nearly 30,000 primordial stones for my peak divine demon breakthrough before refining the remaining stones. However, I feel that my current divine power is far from a top-tier peak divine demon. I'll at least need 400,000 primordial stones to advance into the ultimate god realm. For contingency purposes, I'm afraid I'll need more than 500,000 primordial stones. Jian Wushuang smacked his tongue while calculating. 500,000 primordial stones was a lot. He previously looted around 90,000 primordial stones when wiping out 3 of Dark Thunder Territory's prefectures on top of bagging resources and treasures worth about 170,000 primordial stones, but that number was still a far cry from 500,000 primordial stones. He was halfway from his primordial stone target. It would not be easy for him to acquire 500,000 primordial stones with many experts in the northern Darkstar continent. There are many clans in the northern Darkstar continent with each being extremely wealthy. I'm afraid they're the only ones I could go after for such huge amounts of primordial stones. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Mr. Jian Yi, are you going after those clans? Xiao Tiexin looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Why not? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He was more than qualified to find fault with those clans based on his current strength. It's not impossible, but didn't you mention you won't do anything to those clans unless they come after you? Xiao Tiexin asked suspiciously. I'm not going to kill anyone or go against them. I'm just finding ways to receive some primordial stones from them. I only needed a few 10,000 primordial stones from each clan. I'm sure that amount won't even hurt them and they'll probably accept it, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Is that so? Xiao Tiexin nodded slightly. Don't you need some sort of reasons or excuses when finding fault with those clans? That's true, but I think it's rather easy to find an excuse. Jian Wushuang smiled mischievously. Inside a very large and seemingly higher-end tavern 3 days later. Those who were able to enter and exit the tavern were not weaklings, with many of them coming from decent backgrounds. At the tavern's entrance, a handsome young man in a white robe slowly walked into the tavern while being surrounded by many servants. Several waiters in the tavern immediately greeted him upon his appearance, while many people in the tavern concurrently stood up and greeted him. I haven't seen you for a while, Master Yiming. How have you been? Master Yiming, you managed to come over here amidst your busy schedule. Can I have a drink with you, Master Yiming? The handsome white-robed young man showed a wicked smile upon listening to everyone's voices greeting him before saying, I've to go today, so I won't be here with all of you. Put everything you order in the tavern on my tab. Master Yiming is so generous. He's indeed a son of the Yi clan. Sounds of compliments came from every corner of the tavern. The handsome white-robed young man did not continue chatting with those people but walked straight to the tavern's second floor instead. In a corner of the tavern, a thin man stood respectfully beside where Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin were seated. There are many clans in the northern Darkstar continent, with each of them being extremely wealthy and cultured. There'll inevitably be a few dead ducks and troublemakers within such huge clans. Yiming is famous within the Yi clan for acting on his whim and fancies because of his strong familial background. His father, a high-level ultimate god, is an elder of the Yi clan. Many people who are bullied by him choose to keep quiet, said Xiao Tiexin. Let's go for him then. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly before glancing at the thin man standing next to him. I'll leave it to you. Sure, master. The thin man knew what Jian Wushuang was going to do and immediately went toward the second floor of the tavern after Yiming. Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin remained seated and quietly drank their wine. After a short while, a sudden crisp sound came from the tavern's second floor, with Yiming's low voice echoed throughout the tavern. Idiot, where are your eyes? How dare you bump into me? Take him down and break his limbs and abolish his cultivation base. Yiming was furious. No, stop. My master is mighty and just downstairs, yelled the thin man. Your master? You're a third-class divine demon. What kind of a master do you have? Your master should stay out of this. Otherwise he'll break his limbs too. Yi Ming's raging roar resounded throughout the tavern. Chapter 2546. Demanding an explanation. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly on the tavern's first floor while sipping his drink when he heard Yi Ming's voice. How arrogant. Of course he is. Xiao Tiexin smiled. Jian Wushuang made a move. He appeared on the tavern's second floor in the blink of an eye. With Yi Ming's servants had already beaten up the thin man. Jian Yi was unimpressed and emanated a sweep of high-level ultimate god's aura from his body. I heard someone say that he wants to wipe me off? Who's that? Jian Wushuang asked in a cold tone with his displeased face seemingly covered in frost. Master, you're here. I would have been killed have you not arrived in time. The thin man wailed miserably the moment he saw Jian Wushuang. Are you guys those who want to abolish my disciples' cultivation base and even threaten to do the same to me? Jian Wushuang's cold gaze scanned those people from the Yi clan. Yi Ming was a little confused and disconcerted. He could sense Jian Wushuang's divine power breath, which was almost similar to his father's, and knew he was facing a high-level ultimate god. Who would have thought the thin man lying on the ground crying miserably had a high-level ultimate god master? The hopeless disciple called a high-level ultimate god his master? That was unbelievable. The servants who were with Yi Ming came back to their senses as one of them reverently said, Master, we are from the Yi clan and this is young Master Yi Ming. What just happened is just a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I heard you were going to maim my disciple and abolish my cultivation base. Are you sure that's just a misunderstanding? Jian Wushuang waved his hand and grabbed Yi Ming while the winds knocked those servants down to the ground. Young Master Yi Ming. Well, I'm going to demand an explanation from the Yi clan. I want to know just how they're educating their youngsters. Come with me. After that, Jian Wushuang grabbed Yi Ming and dashed out of the tavern. Yi Ming's servants of Yi Ming as well as those people in the tavern could not stop Jian Wushuang and merely watched him leave with Yi Ming. The crowd in the tavern became tumultuous after both of them were completely out of sight. Young Master Yi Ming has been arrested. Shit. Quick. Report this to the second elder. Yi clan was a mid-tier clan with a good background among the clans in the northern Darkstar continent. Although they were only a mid-tier clan, they never lacked experts and even had a peak ultimate god. In a magnificent-looking hall, an old man with purple hair was scanning through a piece of information. Suddenly, what? The purple-haired old man was shocked as he sprang up to his feet. Minger is arrested by a high-level ultimate god and he's on his way here to demand an explanation? How daring. The purple-haired old man was fuming. At that very moment, a powerful high-level ultimate god aura came through the Yi clan mansion's gates. Come out, Yi clan fellows. A violent roar rang within the Yi clan's mansion. He's here? The purple-haired old man looked up with his eyes blazing within the fire of fury. The entire Yi clan was in a commotion as a group of experts almost instantly started gathering around the mansion's gates. Most of those experts were ultimate gods with more than 30 who appeared before Jian Wushuang. The purple-haired old man was among them, making a total of 5 high-level ultimate gods present. However, the Yi clan leader, a peak ultimate god, had yet to come forward. So, this is just a mid-tier clan. Jian Wushuang sighed before waving his hand and throwing Yi Ming toward the Yi clan's people. The purple-haired old man immediately stepped up to help Yi Ming. Yi Ming started yelling upon being freed, "Father, that's him. He caught me and almost killed me. Quick, kill him and avenge me." The purple-haired old man ordered, "Shut up." After a thorough checkup, he noticed the uninjured Yi Ming and was relieved. After that, Jian Wushuang spoke up with his loud and thick voice which echoed throughout the mansion. "Yi clan, I need you to give me an explanation." He was so loud that not only all of Yi clan's people heard him but also alerted the many cultivators who were not far away. The annoyed Yi clan members wore an ugly expression on their faces. Explanation? The purple-haired old man put Yi Ming aside and looked straight into Jian Wushuang's eyes before coldly shouted, "You caught my son and yet arrogantly came running over here and demanded an explanation. How disrespectful you are. Elders, fight alongside me and take him down. Kill him if he dares resist." Yes. 3 high-level ultimate gods immediately stood up and charged toward Jian Wushuang. They did not see Jian Wushuang as a threat since all of them were at a similar realm level on top of being a 3-against-1 battle. A playful grin lit up Jian Wushuang's features as he moved and drew out 11 apparitions. A majestic sword light cut through the void. The sword light was not only splendid but also incredibly fast. Before the 3 high-level ultimate gods who stepped up had time to react, the sword light landed on their divine bodies. The 3 high-level ultimate gods snorted and were prepared to retaliate. "This is just a warning. I won't hesitate to kill if you insist on attacking me," announced Jian Wushuang coldly. Oh! Many Yi clan's experts were surprised to hear his threat. Did he just defeated 3 high-level ultimate gods with a flick of his sword? They could see his previous move was purely a warning given to his opponents. Otherwise, those 3 high-level ultimate gods would have been severely wound or even worse, dead. A high-level ultimate god who was repelled in the first attack solemnly said, "Second Elder, he's very powerful." The purple-haired old man squinted his eyes while studying Jian Wushuang before his face suddenly changed as though being reminded of something. "Golden robe, good with the sword and a high space-time law understanding. Your Excellency, are you the newly promoted blood gladiator 2 months ago, Mr. Jian? Jian? Everyone in the Yi clan's jaws slacked as they had heard of his name. Jian Wushuang's name spread throughout the northern Darkstar continent after succeeding in the Blood Gladiators Challenge. The Yi clan was of course well informed of such news. "Do you know me?" Jian Wushuang wore a half-smile. The old man with purple hair gasped, "It's you." Chapter 2547. Daylight Robbery. Mr. Jian Yi is a well-known blood gladiator. The Yi clan would have of course heard of you. "May I ask how my son offended you?" "He turns out to be your son, I see. He ordered his servants to maim my apprentice's limbs and abolish his cultivation base in the tavern. That isn't all, Yi Ming even threatened to do the same to me when my apprentice mentioned me as his master. Well, I'm interested in finding out how the Yi clan is going to make that happen." Jian Wushuang pulled a stern face with sparks of anger radiating from his eyes. His words shocked everyone. Abolish his cultivation base? Abolish the cultivation base of blood gladiator Jian Yi? Did Yi Ming say that? Bastard! What ignorance! The purple-haired old man was fuming and gave his son, Yi Ming, an unforgivable glare. He did not expect Yi Ming to mess with Jian Yi. Jian Yi was a blood gladiator. He must be a genius for Jian Yi to be a blood gladiator. There were also rumors of him defeating a super genius from Dragon Phoenix Pavilion in the final round challenge and demonstrated great talent. Most people would love to recruit such a genius and be in his good books. The purple-haired old man was shocked that his very own son had provoked Jian Yi and even threatened to abolish his cultivation base. That was outrageous. It was fortunate that Jian Yi merely demanded an explanation and did not attack Yi Ming. Were it any other man, he would have attacked Yi Ming without further ado. After taking a deep breath to calm his nerves, the purple-haired old man looked into Jian Wushuang's eyes. "Your Excellency, it's indeed my son's fault. I regret to say that I've failed as a father. I'm the Yi clan's second elder and also Yi Ming's father. I sincerely would like to apologize and thank you for your mercy." The purple-haired old man was subservient to Jian Wushuang. He desperately wanted to appease Jian Wushuang. "Humph, do you think an apology could make up for your son's mistakes?" Jian Wushuang snorted. "How would you like to settle it?" The purple-haired old man frowned. "It's simple. We can settle with 100,000 primordial stones and I'll put the matter at rest." Jian Wushuang cut to the chase. 100,000 primordial stones? All of the Yi clan members present were taken aback and angered. The Yi clan was a mid-tier clan in the northern Darkstar continent and was rather wealthy, but 100,000 primordial stones were still a large sum. Jian Wushuang demanded the Yi clan to pay an exorbitant price for a mistake which was no different from daylight robbery. "You're asking for a lot." The purple-haired old man's gaze turned cold. "Am I? It's just 100,000 primordial stones. Fortunately, my disciple is fine. Otherwise, I don't think that will be enough. You're Yi clan's second elder, right? I suggest you weigh the consequences of your decisions. Would you rather hand over 100,000 primordial stones or battle with me?" Jian Wushuang gave a sardonic laugh with his confidently puffed-up chest. On the other hand, the purple-haired old man looked gloomy. The Yi clan's elders then leaned in for an ad hoc discussion. "What should we do? 100,000 primordial stones are just too much. We can't afford to give him." "Yes, he's just looting us." The elders were furious. The purple-haired old man waved his hand. "Jian Yi is no pushover. He's showing a much stronger strength than an average high-level ultimate gods 2 months ago when he challenged the blood gladiators. After he was declared as a new blood gladiator, he took away 160,000 primordial stones from the Shi clan's arena. I heard the Shi clan wasn't about to let the matter slip, so they sent their third elder and 4 high-level ultimate gods to hunt him down, but failed to capture him on top of being unable to retrieve those primordial stones." There's also news that not long ago Jianghu wiped out 3 of the 18 prefectures in the Dark Thunder territory. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was forced to personally take matters into his hand and launched an attack. However, Jianghu left unscathed. It's obvious he's very difficult to deal with, so if he made another breakthrough and reached the high-level Ultimate God realm, his strength will naturally become even stronger. It's to our disadvantage when battling against an extremely powerful person like him. An elder scowled. So what should we do? Are we giving in to his demand of 100,000 primordial stones? Don't worry. I've reported this matter to the clan leader and let him come forth to solve this issue. I'm sure he's the only person who can subdue Jianghu, said the purple-haired old man. Everyone else nodded in unison. The Yi clan leader was the Yi clan's top-tier peak ultimate god expert. He had chosen to lie low quite some time ago but would step up and help the Yi clan out of tight spots. Have you decided? Although Jian Wushuang stood alone in front of the Yi clan mansion, he remained calm while facing many of Yi clan's experts. All of a sudden, who's here to cause a scene in front of my Yi clan's mansion? An angry shout thunderously resounded from the void above. An extremely powerful aura emerged shortly after from the deepest part of the Yi clan's mansion. His breath of divine power was much stronger than the many high-level ultimate gods present. A figure slowly came out from the Yi clan's mansion and positioned himself before Jian Wushuang. It was an old man with white hair and a goatee. Although the old man looked weak and infirm, his eyes were dazzling bright like flashes of light. Everyone was in awe. It's the clan leader. You're finally out. The Yi clan members were overjoyed when they saw his arrival. The old man with a goatee was the leader of Yi clan and the clan's only peak ultimate god, Yi Dingshan. A pleasure to meet you. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Jianghu, a recently appointed blood gladiator, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Blood gladiator? Yi Dingshan frowned and continued in a loud voice. So what if you're a blood gladiator? You have no position to chuck a tantrum here. Otherwise it'll no longer be courteous. Haha, I'm curious what will happen if you're no longer courteous. Jian Wushuang coldly grinned. Chapter 2548. Yi clan leader Yi Dingshan's face sank as his divine power breath erupted and made his move. Rumbling. The sky shook as the overwhelming divine power came down on Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed slightly. Yi Dingshan was a genuine peak ultimate god after all, unlike the others, hence his capabilities and powers should not be taken lightly. Jian Wushuang decided to use the 7-star secret technique. Infinite golden divine power converged behind Jian Wushuang and formed a golden god shadow in the blink of an eye. It was majestic, huge, and towered over everything. As Jian Wushuang dived down from the void, his terrifying divine power which erupted shook the earth, revealing strengths no weaker than Yi Dingshan. Holy moly, he's just a high-level ultimate god, but his powers are no less than that of an average peak ultimate god. The Yi clan members were impressed. The two figures were dueling in the void above. Boom. There was a loud noise as space and time seemed to have momentarily shied away. Jian Wushuang's figure dispersed into 11 apparitions. Space-time apparitions? Yi Dingshan grinned as he also made the same move. He made 13 apparitions. 2 more apparitions than Jian Wushuang. He's also good with space-time law and is even better than me. Jian Wushuang was surprised, but a gush of samsara strength started sweeping through his body. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with hatred. Hate. The feeling of hatred came wave after wave. A hazy sword light carved a hateful path toward heaven in the void. Humph. Yi Dingshan scoffed and suddenly flung out his right hand, which had condensed endless divine powers. Pop. A clear explosive sound rang. There were visible cracks in the void like glass about to break apart. His divine powers had covered up Jian Wushuang's hateful path toward heaven. Yi Dingshan did not stop and had both hands out. Pop. An incessant crisp explosive noise echoed in the void. Every explosion was accompanied by extremely terrifying strong powers aimed at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang swung his long sword and swept across multiple times with his sword intent, but were parried off by those terrifying powers. Jian Wushuang's face sank and abruptly took a step back. That's enough. Jian Wushuang gave an enigmatic smile and immediately sent out a palm strike. Rumbling. The boundless golden divine power ocean instantly erupted. The golden divine power ocean covered everything and had completely enveloped the void where Yi Dingshan was within a short time, forming an indestructible golden prison. The golden prison had trapped both Jian Wushuang and Yi Dingshan within it, while Yi clan's experts along with everyone else were excluded. Everyone in the Yi clan was startled to see the golden prison's emergence. Oh no! The clan leader is trapped within the prison. This prison is so strong and sturdy, I'm afraid that even a peak ultimate god is unable to break out of it. Damn it! It's impermeable. There's no way for me to use soul powers. I don't even know what's happening inside. Will the clan leader be in danger? Don't worry too much. The clan leader is a peak ultimate god after all. Jian is still not his match even with this prison in place. The Yi clan members had confidence in their leader Yi Dingshan. Jian Wushuang was only a high-level ultimate god after all. Perhaps the clan leader was unable to threaten Jian, but it was also absolutely impossible for Jian to defeat or kill the clan leader. The Yi clan members along with those many experts from the surrounding area who had been alerted of the incident waited quietly outside the golden prison. Their wait only lasted for a brief moment. Boom! A thunderous roar sounded as the golden prison opened up and receded. Two figures appeared at the opposite ends of the void after the golden prison melted away. They were none other than Jian Wushuang and Yi Dingshan. A peak ultimate god's strength is indeed powerful. I apologize for my arrogance. Jian Wushuang's hearty laughter reverberated between heaven and earth. The Yi clan members and those many cultivators in the surrounding void immediately knew what that meant. Jian was probably disadvantaged or suffered a small defeat. Otherwise, why would he admit being arrogant? He must have known he was no match for Yi Dingshan. The Yi clan members were overjoyed. The clan leader is great. Nonsense, Jian is merely a high-level ultimate god. How could he be compared with the clan leader? He's smart to have acknowledged he was being arrogant. The Yi clan's experts commented. They did not notice Yi Dingshan looked extremely solemn and took a deep look toward Jian Wushuang for some time before saying, "The Yi clan had indeed offended you, and it's normal for one's master to seek justice for his disciple, but 100,000 primordial stones are too much. What about 50,000 primordial stones?" 50,000 primordial stone? The Yi clan's members were shocked. Most people did not understand why Yi Dingshan had taken out 50,000 primordial stones as compensation despite winning. Only a few people along with the purple-haired old man knew that he was just waiting. Haha, I'm just here to seek justice for my disciple and don't intend to make Yi clan my enemy. The primordial stones are a small matter. If you don't mind, we can go to some other place and talk, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Yes, please come into the Yi clan mansion, Mr. Jian, said Yi Dingshan. I won't be courteous. Jian Wushuang grinned and went towards the Yi clan's mansion with Yi Dingshan's guidance. Everyone present was at a loss. They wondered what had happened. Why were the two opponents so polite to each other? The clan leader was an arrogant man, and yet he invited Jian into the Yi clan's mansion. Jian Wushuang came out of the mansion half an hour later. You can stop escorting me here. I'm leaving. Jian Wushuang smiled. Safe journeys, Mr. Jian. Do come by and visit us if you have the time. Our Yi clan members will treat you well. Yi Dingshan was being rather humbled and gentle. Ha, sure. Jian Wushuang cupped up his hands as everyone in the Yi clan watched him depart and soon disappeared out of sight. Chapter 2549. The Brazen Jian. After Jian Wushuang left, the Yi clan elders quickly leaned in to learn what happened from the clan leader. The purple-haired old man asked, "What happened in the golden prison?" "What happened? Ah, it's nothing. Jian never wanted to be our enemy, and we naturally don't want to be against him either. If that's the case, why not just make peace?" Yi Dingshan explained and smiled. The purple-haired old man frowned and regretfully said in a low voice, "But 50,000 primordial stones. It's all because of my rebellious son. We wouldn't be in this mess today if he hadn't rubbed Jenny wrongly. No, today's incident isn't entirely your son's fault. If I'm not mistaken, Jenny probably is just after primordial stones. He used Yiming as an excuse to get what he wanted. I'm sure he'll come up with something else even if Yiming isn't involved," said Yi Dingshan. Excuse me? The Yi clan members were surprised. He deliberately came to us, flexed his power, and showed us his capabilities before gracefully retreating for those primordial stones. By doing so, we won't be embarrassed and he'll get what he wanted as compensation, said Yi Dingshan. He's so brazen, exclaimed the purple-haired old man. He's indeed brazen, or perhaps he badly needed primordial stones and had to use such methods. Experts like him have many ways to get primordial stones after all. Although he blatantly did this to us, it's better than battling it out with him. Moreover, we can afford the 50,000 primordial stones. just considered it a gift to establish new friendships. After explaining the situation, Yi Dingshan was no longer interested in staying with the Yi clan elders. He turned around before going back to his retreat. The Yi clan's elders and experts agreed with Yi Dingshan. However, they had no idea there was an undisclosed reason why Yi Dingshan agreed to give Jian Wushuang the 50,000 primordial stones and acted so politely toward him. It was because Jian Wushuang gave him face and also saved the Yi clan's dignity. No one was able to see what happened earlier in the Golden Prison where he dueled with Jian Wushuang. Once the Golden Prison disappeared, Jian Wushuang openly lauded his capabilities so that everyone thought Jian Wushuang had lost the battle. However, it was Yi Dingshan who was disadvantaged inside the Golden Prison. The moment they were trapped in the Golden Prison, a golden armor appeared on Jian Wushuang's body which amplified his overall strength by nearly 3 times. Coupled with his outstanding sword skills, Jian Wushuang had Yi Dingshan completely under his control. Yi Dingshan knew he was going to be defeated for sure. Who would have thought Jian Wushuang removed the Golden Prison and declared his defeat in front of everyone to save Yi Dingshan's face? Yi Dingshan was fast-witted and instantly knew what Jian Wushuang was up to. Thereafter he chose to go along with Jian Wushuang and save himself along with the Yi clan from being embarrassed. As for those 50,000 primordial stones, they were nothing compared to his and the Yi clan's dignity. Jian Wushuang reunited with Xiao Tiexin in the tavern. What happened? Xiao Tiexin asked. Jian Wushuang triumphantly said, I've got 50,000 primordial stones in hand. 50,000? Xiao Tiexin's eyes lit up. They agreed. Well, they had no choice. Jian Wushuang grinned. Jian Wushuang may have openly admitted his defeat, but what happened in the Golden Prison was him badly beating Yi Dingshan up. Yi Dingshan knew Jian Wushuang's capabilities. Besides, Jian Wushuang was only asking for 50,000 primordial stones which the Yi clan could still afford. Although Yi Dingshan is a peak ultimate god, he's probably of a lower-ranked level. I'm unable to compete with him without the 9 Sparkle Star armor, but he didn't stand a chance once I used the armor. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. This interspatial ring is for you? Jian Wushuang threw a ring to the thin man beside him. This thin man was the one who earlier acted as Jian Wushuang's disciple. His eyes lit up with joy after taking the interspatial ring and peered into it. Thank you, Master. This is my message token. Please contact me if you need me for anything in the future. The thin man left after putting down his message token. Why do you let him go now? Aren't you going to find fault with other clans? Xiao Tiexin looked over quizzically. Never repeat the same trick twice. I'll be dubious if I repeated the same thing. Besides, I can come up with lots of excuses for my next target. Jian Wushuang smiled mischievously. By the way, which clan should I target next? The Jiang clan is a mid-tier clan whose strength is similar to the Yi clan. Although the Jiang clan leader is slightly stronger than Yi Dingshan, it's not by much, said Xiao Tiexin. Let's go for Jiang clan then. Jian Wushuang chuckled. He went with Xiao Tiexin to nettle with the Jiang clan soon after. In the Shi clan's grand hall, Shi Qianhan, the Shi clan leader, was discussing some matters with several elders. Suddenly an old man in black walked in. I've just got the news that Jian Yi received 50,000 primordial stones from the Hua clan, said the old man in black. Jian Yi made his move. Shi Qianhan smiled coldly when he got the news. He went to the Yi clan first, followed by the Jiang clan, and made up excuses to extort primordial stones from both of them. What excuse did he make up for the Hua clan? The old man in black said, his excuse is so ridiculous. Jian Yi went to the Hua clan and claimed that Hua Yiming tried to kill him many years ago and he's here to seek revenge. Hua Yiming? Who's that? Shi Qianhan asked. He's a primary level ultimate god from the Hua clan who was killed in a battle a few hundred years ago, said the old man in black. A Shi clan elder exclaimed, oh my! He even used a dead person as an excuse. Why is he so brazen? Indeed, he's quite shameless to have done that. There is no way to seek clarification when a person is dead after all. He can claim whatever he wants, yet the Hua clan is unable to refute him. In the end, the Hua clan has no choice but to give him 50,000 primordial stones to settle the issue. He's also being rather thoughtful and didn't cause a scene at the Hua clan's mansion, said the old man in black. Chapter 2550, Lavish Gifts, that's a smart move. Shi Qianhan coldly sneered. Although he went to those clans to find fault with ridiculous excuses, he didn't ruin their relationship or offend them. On the contrary, he tried his best to protect their dignity while leaving them no choice but to go along with him. It's a shame he uses such methods, but his strength is undeniable. Yes, I can see that the clan experts were laughing when Jianghu left with no signs of any displeasure, said the old man in black. That's true. He probably needs a lot of primordial stones. Otherwise he won't use such despicable and self-degrading means. Those clans are also well aware of this and are willing to give away those primordial stones since the amount he asked for isn't too much and rather give in to him, said Shi Qianhan. Will Jianghu come after us if that's the case? We did have some issues with him earlier, said the old man in black. How dare him? Shi Qianhan's voice turned cold. Unless he has gone crazy, he won't dare to target the Shi clan. That was true. Jian Wushuang only targeted some of the relatively weaker mid-tier clans. He would definitely want to stay away from those prominent and powerful clans like the Shi clan or Wu clan. After going to a few more clans, news started to spread and some mid-tier clans took the initiative to send Jian Wushuang primordial stones. Mr. Jianghu, the Han clan have just sent you 10,000 primordial stones on top of some other cultivation resources and treasures. Xiao Tiexing handed an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang rubbed his forehead with a rather strange expression and darted a look toward the table next to him which had no less than 10 interspatial rings. He did not expect that after going to 3 clans, the other northern Darkstar continent clans voluntarily made their ways and proffered him gifts. It seemed that those clans had communicated with each other and came to a consensus to send him rather generous gifts. Those gifts ranged from between 7,000 to 8,000 primordial stones while some went up to 10,000 and 20,000 primordial stones. He had received around 140,000 primordial stones from those clans in addition to the 50,000 primordial stones each from the Yi, Jiang, and He clans. He had accumulated a total of 290,000 primordial stones on hand. 290,000 were a huge number of primordial stones, but Jian Wushuang was still unsatisfied. He needed at least 500,000 primordial stones for his breakthrough to the ultimate god realm and still had 200,000 more to go. What those clans were doing made it difficult for him to continue his primordial stones milking plan. Those clans probably knew he needed primordial stones and took the initiative to give him after all. Therefore they had given him quite a fair bit of primordial stones. No matter how brazen Jian Wushuang was, it made no sense to find fault with those clans who extended an olive branch out to him. Now, I can't continue doing what I was doing, but there are only 290,000 primordial stones, which is a far cry from what I need. What should I do now? Shall I go for the 3 top-tier clans? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes as he pondered. Those who presented him gifts were small and medium clans. On the other hand, the 3 top-tier clans had been rather quiet. Jian Wushuang could no longer go to the small and middle clans, hence he turned his attention to the 3 top-tier clans. However, the top-tier clans were difficult to handle. Each of the 3 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent has 4 to 5 peak ultimate gods, with each no less powerful than the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor. They might shun me if I visit them on my own. Jian Wushuang brushed his nose as he carefully considered his next course of action. While Jian Wushuang was pondering, a thick voice suddenly rang. Is Mr. Jianghu in? Jian Wushuang raised his head. Xiao Tiexing went out to check and returned after a while. Mr. Jianghu, someone from the Situ clan is here, announced Xiao Tiexing. Situ clan. Jian Wushuang was surprised. The Shi clan, Wu clan, and Situ clan were the 3 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent. The Situ clan was the weakest among them. The Shi clan and Wu clan had not done anything, but the Situ clan took the initiative and approached him. Please bring him in, ordered Jian Wushuang. Xiao Tiexing soon led a middle-aged man wearing a loose and long robe to Jian Wushuang's location. The middle-aged man was gentle and polite. He bowed to Jian Wushuang with great humility and introduced himself upon seeing Jian Wushuang. I'm the Situ clan leader, Situ Yuan. A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Jianghu. Are you the Situ clan leader? Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. The middle-aged man before him was obviously a high-level ultimate god, yet he was the Situ clan leader? He even bowed to Jian Wushuang while bearing such a noble identity? You're so polite and humble. Please have a seat. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Situ Yuan immediately took a seat. I wonder what brings you here today? Jian Wushuang asked. Situ Yuan said, I'm here today to be your friend, Mr. Jianghu. I know you visited the Yi clan, Jiang clan, and He clan some time ago before asking them for a lot of primordial stones. Are you in urgent need of primordial stones? Yes, you're right. I urgently need a large number of primordial stones. Jian Wushuang nodded. Situ Yuan smiled faintly and immediately withdrew an interspatial ring. There are 100,000 primordial stones in this interspatial ring. I hope it'll be helpful to you, Mr. Jianghu. Situ Yuan handed Jian Wushuang the interspatial ring. 100,000 primordial stones? Jian Wushuang was impressed. Xiao Tiexin was also shocked to hear that. The other small and medium clans could only offer 10,000 to 20,000 primordial stones at most, while the Situ clan straightforwardly offered 100,000 primordial stones. It was such a lavish gift. I'm concerned. Jian Wushuang smiled but did not accept the interspatial ring. Mr. Jianyi, what's on your mind? Situ Yuan was humble and patient. Chapter 2551. Situ Clan, indeed, I've recently been seeking opportunities to gain primordial stones from those clans. I admit I've been using some lame excuses to do so. However, no matter how powerful I am, I won't be coming after the Situ clan, so you should not need to be bothered by this at all. The Shi clan and Wu clan are unfazed by my actions, so why did you even make the effort to seek me out? Jian Wushuang curiously asked. He'll be frank with you. Situ Yuan was momentarily silent before slowly continued. Although the Situ clan is one of the 3 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent, we just appeared glamorous on the outside but are actually in a deadlock with them. We're not as wealthy as the Shi clan and Wu clan. Most importantly, we don't have an Earth Ultimate God to manage the clan. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. I know of this. He heard about the Situ clan situation from Xiao Tiexin. There would have been 4 top-tier clans if the Xiao clan was not exterminated in the northern Darkstar continent. These 4 top-tier clans were managed by the Earth Ultimate Gods, but unfortunately, the Xiao clan and Situ clan's Earth Ultimate Gods were long dead. On the other hand, the Earth Ultimate Gods of the Shi and Wu clan were still alive. Although the overall Situ clan isn't weak, we aren't that strong either. This is unlike the fearless Shi and Wu clan even when facing the territorial lord. They remained respectful but were never intimidated, and with their Earth Ultimate Gods still alive, the territorial lord is hesitant to go against them and would only pass on a light punishment even if they had done something wrong. The Situ clan don't enjoy such similar treatments. Situ Yuan sighed before continuing. Mr. Jianyi has been here for a while. I'm sure you've heard about the Xiao clan, right? The Xiao clan? Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Xiao Tiexin, who was standing next to Jian Wushuang, was not as composed. The Xiao clan's situation was the same as the Situ clan. They had a strong foundation and an extraordinary background but lacked an Earth Ultimate God protector. Hence the territorial lord didn't need to be mindful of accidentally irritating them. Although the Xiao clan was sufficiently cautious to rarely provoke the territorial lord, I noticed his interest in the Xiao clan's assets, and thus the territorial lord started maliciously making plans against the Xiao clan. He has been holding back quite well until one day when the Xiao clan obtained an extraordinary heavenly treasure. The territorial lord could no longer endure and ended up exterminating the Xiao clan, who were unable to resist. The Xiao clan and Situ clan practically lived in each other's shoes. We're no better off compared to them, and there's a high possibility the territorial lord will do the same to us, said Situ Yuan. Jian Wushuang understood. He understood Situ Yuan's worries. It was wise of the Situ clan to stay on guard and be prepared for the worst. Clan leader, I understand what you're trying to say. The territorial lord has no intentions to launch an attack on your clan from the way I see it. Even if he did, I won't be of much help. Why waste these primordial stones on me? Jian Wushuang asked. Mr. Jianyi, you've misunderstood my intentions. Situ Yuan smiled faintly. I don't expect protection from you when the Situ clan is in trouble. What we want is just to befriend you. We've been doing that with many parties in the northern Darkstar continent. Many experts in the northern Darkstar continent, including 2 official army commanders, have received gifts from the Situ clan. We do this not because we're expecting protection in return, but to create an impression of having many allies. After these people received Situ clan's gifts, they became more easygoing and fostered a bond with us. If the territorial lord attacks us, he has to be mindful of our allies. If the territorial lord decides to take action on us, we'll also probably end up like the Xiao clan. Although we're not expecting our friends to avenge us, we hope they'll at least be disgusted by the territorial lord's unscrupulous actions. That's the impression we want to build. Though it might seem like much, we're still willing to do our best. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded after Situ Yuan finished speaking. By doing so, the Situ clan will seem to have made many friends while causing the territorial lord to hesitate when dealing with the Situ clan. Yes. The Xiao clan had also done this but weren't as generous and persistent as us, said Situ Yuan. Jian Wushuang was processing all the information provided to him. The Situ clan had forked out 100,000 primordial stones just to befriend him. The Xiao clan leader probably had not done the same. Is Mr. Jian willing to accept Situ clan's gift? Situ Yuan smiled. He'll take it, of course. Jian Wushuang smiled. I won't decline such good intentions. Jian Wushuang took the interspatial ring without hesitation. The reason he needed so many primordial stones was for his ultimate god-real breakthrough to then challenge the territorial lord and take over his position. Once he succeeded, the Situ clan's current plans would come to fruition. By the way, could I ask you for a favor if you don't mind, clan leader? Jian Wushuang suddenly asked. Mr. Jian, please tell me what your desires are. Situ Yuan was very humble. Jian Wushuang explained, I urgently need more primordial stones. What you've sent me is still not enough. I have plenty of resources taken from the Dark Thunder territory. Its estimated value is approximately 170,000 primordial stones. In addition to the gifts given by those many clans in the past few days, the treasures I've accumulated should be worth more than 200,000 primordial stones. I wonder if the clan leader could figure out a way to exchange these resources into primordial stones? Chapter 2552. Forming alliances. Jian Wushuang needed primordial stones to accumulate divine powers for his cultivation. The cultivation resources and certain treasures were of great value. However, those were not useful to him at all. Did you just say you have resources and treasures worth more than 200,000 primordial stones? The head of Situ clan pondered for a moment before speaking. Mr. Jian, I don't think there are any stores in the northern Darkstar continent who can afford to trade these treasures with you. Even if we distribute them into batches between many stores, I don't think it'll be of much help. The stores have their own supply channels and it'd be impossible for them to acquire such a large volume of resources from you in one go. However, if Mr. Jian finds the Situ clan trustworthy, you can hand over these resources and treasures to me. He'll find a way to turn them into primordial stones as soon as possible, suggested Situ Yuan. How long do you think it'll take for you to do that? Jian Wushuang asked. Situ Yuan put out one finger. 1 year. The Situ clan can definitely sell more than half of these resources and treasures within a year. Once that's done, there definitely won't be much left, so the Situ clan should be able to exchange the rest into primordial stones from our own treasury. A year? Jian Wushuang nodded. He had lived for nearly 100,000 years in his previous life, and due to different world constraints and environments, he spent around several tens to hundreds of years traveling. Although he had only been around for more than 20 years in his current life, he did not mind spending 1 year collecting primordial stones. If that's the case, I'll give my thanks to the Situ clan in advance. Jian Wushuang flipped his hand and took out an interspatial ring. It contained many resources and treasures he obtained from the Dark Thunder territory's 3 prefectures together with the other clans' gifts he recently received. Situ Yuan briefly glanced into it and nodded after taking the ring. Situ Yuan then took out a message token and gave it to Jian Wushuang. Mr. Jian, this is my message token. If you need any help in the future, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'll also keep you informed about the progress of selling these resources and treasures. Jian Wushuang took the message token and gave it to Xiao Tiexin, who was next to him. Situ Yuan frowned and asked, Mr. Jian, could you introduce me to your companion? Clan leader, Shiner is my younger sister. You can look for her if you need to keep in touch, as I might be in seclusion and won't be reachable at times, explained Jian Wushuang. I see. Situ Yuan nodded. He'll make a move then. Sure. Shiner, can you send the clan leader off? Jian Wushuang asked. Sure. Xiao Tiexin seemed to have accepted her identity as Jian Wushuang's younger sister, Shiner. She nodded and escorted Situ Yuan to the door. Jian Wushuang let out a long sigh after Situ Yuan left. What perfect timing for Situ Yuan to come. Jian Wushuang was pleased. His hands were tied after those clans took the initiative in sending him gifts and could no longer go after them with his lame excuses for primordial stones. He was worried about how he would get more primordial stones until Situ Yuan extended an olive branch. Jian Wushuang was given 100,000 primordial stones on top of obtaining a clan's help to oversee the sale of resources and treasures he had on hand. I have 390,000 primordial stones now and might have at least 600,000 primordial stones when the Situ clan manages to liquidate all my resources and treasures. That'll be more than enough for my breakthrough to the ultimate god realm. Jian Wushuang excitedly rubbed his hands. 1 year. It's for only 1 year. They'll keep a low profile during this year and stop going after these clans. Otherwise, my good reputation will be tarnished. Jian Wushuang rubbed his nose. It was despicable for him to chase after those clans, and he had to stop before being shunned by them. He was relieved the moment he found a way to achieve his goals. Tiexin, called Jian Wushuang. Didn't Mr. Jian previously called me Shiner? Why are you calling me Tiexin now? Xiao Tiexin teased. Well, I couldn't have addressed you as Tiexin before the clan leader. What if he figured out your actual identity? Jian Wushuang said. That's a cause for concern. Xiao Tiexin agreed. Tiexin, you're from the Xiao clan, so you probably know best about the situation back then. Are the clan leader's words true? Jian Wushuang asked. It's true. Xiao Tiexin nodded. Among the 4 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent, the Xiao clan and Situ clan have always been in bad shape. We use various methods to forge alliances with many experts. However, the Situ clan is obviously doing a better job at it. In addition, the Situ clan didn't have the stately painting. It was that heavenly treasure that tempted the territorial lord to wipe us out. Although the Situ clan is still around, they're walking on thin ice just to preserve themselves. They wouldn't be at such risk if the Situ clan is just a mid-tier clan. Jian Wushuang understood what she meant. Situ Yuan is indeed sincere if that's the case. They'll be indebted to the Situ clan if they help me obtain plenty of primordial stones through proper sales management of my resources and treasures. They'll surely take good care of them when I replace the territorial lord in the future. Jian Wushuang smiled. I'm afraid he'd be over the moon if the clan leader is aware of your true capabilities and plans. It's a big win for the Situ clan if he managed to build such a great relationship with you based on only 100,000 primordial stones and favor from their clan, Xiao Tiexin murmured and sighed. Had the Xiao clan been as bold and persistent previously and made great efforts to forge alliances with powerful experts, perhaps we might been spared from the attack. Jian Wushuang glanced at Xiao Tiexin and shook his head. Jian Wushuang announced sometime later, I'm planning to head toward my secret chamber for my closed-door cultivation. Don't disturb me if there isn't anything urgent. Chapter 2553. Seclusion inside a secret chamber. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged with an unfurled scroll floating in front of him. It was none other than the Fengtian scroll. I've currently reached a regular peak divine demon level regardless of my space-time law, transmigration law, or the sword principles understanding. However, I'm still quite a distance away from becoming an Earth ultimate god. Despite the Situ clan providing me with enough primordial stones a year later, I'm afraid I won't be confident enough to defeat the Northern Darkstar territorial lord even after making a breakthrough to the ultimate god realm from refining and absorbing those stones. An immense increase to my overall abilities is insufficient so long my laws and sword principles understanding isn't up to par. Jian Wushuang knew very well that even if he had made a breakthrough from peak divine demon to a primary stage ultimate god, it would only reinforce his divine powers and perhaps his secret techniques as well at most. A cultivator's divine power was not a true reflection of their abilities. Laws and principles understanding, secret techniques, self-creation masterstroke and tactics, and many other factors were also crucial elements which would decide one's capabilities. He unquestionably held an advantage against the Northern Darkstar territorial lord when it came to secret techniques. However, he was still a far cry away in respect to his other abilities. This was especially true for his sword principles. He was in the complete sword principle realm as of then and would be able to develop his sword world with further progress. Opening up his sword world would be a huge push for his abilities. Jian Wushuang had the first-hand experience of the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor's sword world followed by the Ancient Witch's spear world. His abilities were greatly limited when he came under the oppression of principal worlds. The Northern Darkstar territorial lord was an Earth ultimate god and had probably also developed his principal world. Jian Wushuang would have to open up his sword world to stand a chance of defeating him. Not only do I have to open up a sword world, but I'll also have to upgrade my space-time and transmigration laws understanding. I'll also have to think about establishing my masterstrokes. Well, I'll just do it step by step. Jian Wushuang was in no hurry as it mattered not if he could not achieve much within a year since he could just continue his studies. Jian Wushuang very soon began his studies with the assistance of Fengtian Scroll's cosmic mysteries. He was born with high comprehension skills and his progress was incredibly swift with the help of the Fengtian Scroll. The Northern Darkstar territory clans were relieved following Jian Wushuang's closed-door seclusion. They were worried that Jian Yi would continue looking for trouble with them after accepting their gifts like what he did with the Yi, Jiang, and Hua clan. However, it seemed that Jian Yi still had some self-respect. The Northern Darkstar territory finally returned to its usual peacefulness since Jian Yi did not take any further actions and the incident gradually died down. Time ticked by slowly and 3 months passed in a flash. In the void furthest from the Northern Darkstar continent, a figure suddenly appeared. It was a middle-aged man dressed in green. Everything else about him was normal other than his face looked stern while carrying a battle blade on his back. The Northern Darkstar Continent. I'm back. Pei Qi has finally returned to the Northern Darkstar Continent after 40,000 years. Ah. He let out a burst of maniacal laughter that resonated with heaven and earth like a huge wave that echoed between them for some time. The middle-aged man's laughter gradually dissipated as his facial features began to relax after some time. San Shouwang. You probably never thought I'll return one day, right? The man's voice was cold. You killed my parents, annihilated the entire Pei clan, and chased me out of Northern Darkstar territory 40,000 years ago. I was extremely humiliated and had to tiptoe between life and death for 40,000 years. I finally reached the same power level as you. I'm currently the strongest possible version of myself since I've peaked out my abilities in every aspect with no room for further progress. They'll kill you this time. The green-clad middle-aged man arrived at a group of extremely huge barracks along with his bottomless hatred and rage. These barracks were the official army barracks. These barracks were extremely vast and towering as it was the strongest official army in the Northern Darkstar territory and also the strongest power under the territorial lord's control. A few soldiers stood like statues at the barracks entrance. A man walked toward the barracks gate which the soldiers immediately stopped when they saw him approaching. One of the soldiers growled, "Stop, this is the official army barracks. Trespassers will be killed without mercy." The middle-aged man gradually stopped and raised his head to look at the soldiers before emotionlessly saying, "I'm here for a challenge." The soldier frowned. "A challenge? What kind of challenge?" The middle-aged man did not say another word as a terrifying divine power aura suddenly burst out of his body. The divine power aura was suffocatingly strong as it swept in every direction and caused a violent gust of wind to blow everywhere within the void. The few soldiers who were blocking the middle-aged man instantly turned pale as their legs trembled underneath that man's aura. His terrifying divine power aura even swept toward the barracks insides. There were countless experts within the official army with ultimate gods alone totaling to at least 1,000. During that moment, many soldiers in the barracks, including squad and platoon captains who were at primary stage and advanced stage ultimate gods, instantly felt the aura and were extremely stunned. There were 5 commanders within the barracks and even the 5 peak ultimate god commanders were also incredibly surprised. That aura belongs to an Earth ultimate god. This Earth ultimate god's divine power aura isn't His Excellency, the territorial lords. Who is it from? The aura is being projected from outside the barracks. Let's quickly head there right now. The entire official army barracks descended into a stir. In just a short moment, a large number of official army soldiers, including the commanders and captains, appeared at the barracks entrance. Many pairs of eyes gazed surprisingly at the green-clad middle-aged man. At the same moment, the middle-aged man directly looked back at those soldiers before him. The green-clad middle-aged man's mouth emotionlessly spat out, "I want to challenge the territorial lord." The commanders shuddered. They already suspected his reason being here was to challenge the territorial lord. However, he would have to pass certain basic tests to certify that he was sufficiently qualified and capable to challenge the territorial lord. The tests were very quickly held and settled within the barracks. The green-clad middle-aged man of course easily passed all the tests and was deemed qualified to challenge the territorial lord. "Go and tell your territorial lord I'll be meeting him in the combat ring 10 days from now. The victor will be the last one standing." He immediately left after leaving behind his message. Chapter 2554. Challenging the Territorial Lord in the Secret Chamber, Jian Wushuang sunk deeply into his studies. The mystical cosmic mysteries within the Fengtian scroll immensely helped Jian Wushuang. In a short 3-month period he had made plenty of progress. However at that moment, "Mr. Jian Yi." Xiao Taixin's voice transmitted from outside the secret chamber. She had to use a tiny bit of divine power to breach Jian Wushuang's restrictive shield. Jian Wushuang's studies were immediately interrupted as he instantly woke up, opened his eyes and frowned. "It's only been 3 months. The Situ clan needs more time. What made Tiexing decide to look for me with such urgency?" He exited the secret chamber feeling puzzled. Jian Wushuang saw Xiao Tiexing outside the chamber. "I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Jian Yi." Xiao Tiexing bowed slightly at Jian Wushuang. "What happened, Tiexing?" Jian Wushuang asked. Xiao Tiexing carefully spoke, "Something of utmost importance has occurred. Someone's challenging the territorial lord." Oh. Jian Wushuang's curiosity was piqued. Challenging the territorial lord. As a star territory's lord, The territorial lord was in control of a powerful official army which made him the territory's absolute warlord. However, a territorial lord's position was obtained through power. This meant that as long as one was capable enough, they could challenge the incumbent territorial lord. The Northern Darkstar territorial lord was really powerful. However, there had been 3 Earth ultimate gods who challenged him ever since he rose into that position, and all of them were defeated, with 2 being killed on the spot by him. Due to that reason, no one truly dared to challenge the Northern Darkstar territorial lord. Even those newly ascended Earth ultimate gods within the Northern Darkstar territory would normally choose to leave the territory and seek their paths in other territories. Who was so fearless to challenge the Northern Darkstar territorial lord? Who's the challenger? Jian Wushuang asked. I don't know. Xiao Tiexing shook her head. I only know he's an Earth ultimate god who easily passed all the official army's tests and fulfilled those criteria to challenge the territorial lord. Besides that, no one knows anything about him. He left behind a message after passing the tests saying that he would meet the Northern Darkstar territorial lord in the combat ring, and only one of them will survive. He wants to determine the winner through a death match? Jian Wushuang's pupils contracted. Did the territorial lord answer his challenge? Not only did he answer, but their battle will commence in 3 days. That's why I came looking for you. It's a battle between 2 Earth ultimate gods after all, and the Northern Darkstar territorial lord personally accepted the challenge. I thought you'd be interested in watching the fight, said Xiao Tiexing. I'm indeed very interested in watching these two's fight. Jian Wushuang firmly nodded. Earth ultimate gods. Jian Wushuang had not seen an Earth ultimate god experts fight before and had no idea how strong their battle prowess would be. In addition, it would be a fight with the Northern Darkstar territorial lord. The biggest reason Jian Wushuang stayed at Northern Darkstar territory was to challenge him to obtain the territorial lord's position on top of his most precious treasure, the stately painting. However, he knew nothing of the Northern Darkstar territorial lord's true abilities. How could he miss such a perfect opportunity with an Earth ultimate god's arrival to challenge the territorial lord? 3 days later? Jian Wushuang was really looking forward to it. 3 days quickly passed. The combat ring was a boundless battlefield. In such a ring, even a Heaven ultimate god and Grand ultimate god could freely move around without worries and fight, not to mention Earth ultimate gods. As long as there was a highly anticipated duel within the Northern Darkstar continent, it would be hosted at the combat ring. At that moment, countless people gathered together in the void around the combat ring. There were a few million people present. The outcome was inevitable, as a territorial lord's challenge was a rare event that could only be witnessed every several 10,000 years. As soon as word got out, countless cultivators and clans from all over were excited by the news. Naturally, this meant there was no end to the number of cultivators who came to witness the battle. The Northern Darkstar Continent's clans, the top 3 Shi, Wu and Situ clan, the small and medium-sized clans, had many clan members who joined in to watch. There were plenty of experts around. Other than that, the official army deployed almost all their personnel as well to tightly surround the entire combat ring, and also set up a restrictive shield to prevent people from running into the ring while those 2 Earth ultimate gods were battling. This was to ensure no unforeseen circumstances would happen. Under the 10 commanders' leadership, the official army kept the crowd in order, with nobody having the nerves to create any troubles. Whoosh, whoosh. Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexing were gliding over from afar before being stunned by the crowd surrounding them upon their arrival at the void next to the combat ring. That's a lot of people. Xiao Tiexing could not resist exclaiming. However, Jian Wushuang was very calm. In his past life he had seen plenty of grander sights. There are so many people that we can't even find a closer place to observe the battle. What should we do? Xiao Tiexing frowned. Didn't you keep clan leader Citus' message token? You can send him a message and ask for 2 seats, said Jian Wushuang. Ah, that's true. Xiao Tiexing immediately took out the message token. The Situ clan very soon sent an expert over who led Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexing to the void where the remaining Situ clan's experts were located. The Situ clan was a top-tier clan, and the place they were watching the battle was without a doubt one of the closest to the combat ring, allowing them to witness everything happening in the battle. Ah, I haven't seen Mr. Jian Yi for 3 months. You haven't changed the slightest. Situ Yuan stood up and welcomed Jian Wushuang upon seeing his arrival. Many Situ clan's experts also stood up and acted humbly toward him. Although Jian Wushuang was a high-level ultimate god, everyone knew he was equipped with a peak ultimate god's battle prowess and possessed great potential. Nobody dared to cross an expert like him. Clan leader Situ, you're really too kind. Jian Wushuang returned the courtesy. Mr. Jian Yi, please sit here. Sita Yuan waved his hand and a towering chair appeared next to him. Jian Wushuang did not even hesitate to sit down. Many cultivators around them were perplexed upon seeing the sight before them. Who's that young man? How can he's positioning himself at the same level as the Situ clan leader? I have no idea, but he's not an ordinary person if the Situ clan treated him as such. I know this guy. His name's Jian Yi, the recently emerged blood gladiator in the northern Darkstar continent. He became a blood gladiator at the early stage Ultimate God realm. A blood gladiator? Everybody around suddenly realized who he was the moment his name was mentioned. Chapter 2555, Pei Qi and San Shouwang. I heard that Mr. Jian Yi sought trouble from quite a few clans and forced them to provide him with a lot of primordial stones. I've heard about that too. Moreover, I heard his tactics aren't so honorable. The world respects ability above all else. What's this honorable nonsense? The void was filled with discussions, with some even heard by Jian Wushuang, but he ignored them. At that moment, his eyes were focused on the center of the combat ring toward the motionless green-clad middle-aged man standing with a battle blade on his back with his cold expression. Is he the Earth Ultimate God who challenged the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord? Jian Wushuang squinted slightly. Although there was a certain distance on top of a restrictive shield layer between them, Jian Wushuang could still feel an incredible amount of pressure from the green-clad middle-aged man. His pressure was many times stronger than the Infernal Heart Prefecture governors who had opened up a sword world. So this is an Earth Ultimate God? Jian Wushuang started looking forward to the battle. The various clans and countless cultivators were all quietly waiting. They did not wait long as, boom, a huge wave of divine power suddenly swept open. A figure gradually emerging from the distant void. It was a big man who was clad in beast skin. His skin was dark while his face and arms were hairy, just like a brown bear. A violent aura was covering every inch of his being. His far above peak Ultimate God's immense divine power aura had already recklessly pressed forward before his physical Bodhis arrival. The divine power aura pressed against the entire combat ring, including the countless audiences around it. Every cultivator who was below the Ultimate God realm turned pale and trembling under the repression. Some of them could not even stand still and immediately crouched or knelt. Among those Ultimate Gods, primary-level Ultimate Gods were trembling while high-level Ultimate Gods held on better with only their faces turned slightly pale. Only peak Ultimate Gods could more or less withstand the divine power aura's repression, but even they showed a solemn expression. Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord. It's His Excellency the Territorial Lord. He's here. So he is the undisputed first-ranked expert of the Northern Darkstar Territory. Countless eyes looked on with utmost respect and fear at the bear-like man who slowly walked over. Jian Wushuang squinted when he stared at him. The latter's aura of chaos and violence even made him slightly fearful. As for Xiao Tiexin, who was next to Jian Wushuang, her body began to tremble when she saw the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord's appearance. She did not tremble because of his divine power aura but from her immense hatred. An absolute hatred. Tiexin. Jian Wushuang slightly gazed at Xiao Tiexin. Xiao Tiexin paused and forced herself to immediately calm down. They were after all right there under the Territorial Lord's nose, not to mention the many surrounding people and experts. Xiao Tiexin's hatred would be easily detected if she was being too obvious. At that moment, the bear-like man had appeared standing right in front of the green-clad middle-aged man in the combat ring. The green-clad man opened his eyes as killing intent began to beam in his eyes and swept into the heavens. San Shouwang, I finally met you again. The green-clad man's voice was ice-cold. San Shouwang? The countless audiences around were stunned. Some who knew said, the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord is only his title, and anyone who becomes the future Territorial Lord will also be addressed as such. However, San Shouwang is the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord's real name. I heard our Territorial Lord used to be a thief, hence his extremely wild personality and cruel tactics. I wonder if it's true. Looks like this green-clad gentleman has some beef with His Excellency. Everyone began to discuss. In the center of the combat ring, the bear-like Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord, who was also known as San Shouwang, looked surprisingly at the green-clad middle-aged man. Looks like we do share a history if you know my real name. Who are you? The green-clad man frostily said, Pei Qi. Pei Qi. San Shouwang's expression twitched before immediately shook his head. Never heard of you. Of course, but you surely remembered the Pei clan? Pei Qi shouted. The Pei clan? San Shouwang immediately understood. You're from the Pei clan? Pei clan? Many clans around the ring immediately began to exclaim. So he is from the Pei clan. No wonder he has such deep hatred against the Northern Darkstar territorial lord. Situ Yuan nodded to himself. Clan leader Situ, what's the deal with the Pei clan? Jian Wushuang asked. Situ Yuan explained, you see. The Pei clan used to be a very powerful mid-tier clan in the Northern Darkstar continent in terms of capabilities and foundation. They were one of the most powerful clans among the continent's many mid-tier clans and were not too far behind when compared to top-tier clans like us. However, 40,000 years ago the Pei clan unintentionally crossed the territorial lord. The furious territorial lord slaughtered the entire Pei clan, and only a few escaped the killing among a large number of clansmen while the rest were killed. The territorial lord issued an order to track them down and kill the ones who escaped. The official army mobilized its personnel in grandeur to search of the remaining Pei clansmen and killed them. The Pei clan was finally considered destroyed with their end comparable to the Shao clan. Unexpectedly, there's someone from the Pei clan who survived the killings, made a breakthrough to become an Earth Ultimate God, and came back to seek revenge. I see. Jian Wushuang finally understood. San Shouwang. Pei Qi's hateful voice resonated between heaven and earth. You slaughtered the Pei clan, dispatched the official army to track and kill all remaining Pei clansmen 40,000 years ago. I was able to survive that pursuit by sheer luck and went through hell to stay alive. For 40,000 years, there was never a moment I've ever forgotten these deep grudges. I've finally stepped into the Earth Ultimate God realm and possess the ability to challenge you now. Today, I'll avenge the whole Pei clan. Only one of us will live in this fight. Pei Qi's roar could shake the heavens. Anybody could feel the boundless hatred and killing intent from his words. They could also understand how he felt. It was the grudge of his entire clan's annihilation after all. Haha, one of us will live? Sounds grand but a pity though. Do you think you have such capabilities? San Shouwang's beast-like eyes stared at Pei Qi while his face beamed with a mysterious grin. Chapter 2556, Battle of the Earth Ultimate Gods, 1. Save your words, let's fight. Pei Qi roared with his battle blade instantly unsheathed as a powerful blade essence surged. Boom boom boom, a wall of divine power swept outwards which shook heaven and earth. Whoosh. Pei Qi's body suddenly moved mysteriously and was already standing in front of San Shouwang when he appeared again. At the same time, his battle blade lashed out 3 strokes of incredibly sharp fleeting lights that were ruthlessly cutting open the air they passed by. San Shouwang sneered without moving even half a step. However, there was a ball of terrifying energy gathering in his palm. Boom. An assertive barbaric punch burst outward and collided head-on with the 3 streaks of fleeting lights. The fleeting lights fell apart with a loud bam as San Shouwang's huge fist clashed against Pei Qi's battle blade at a stalemate. However, an invisible collision wave swept up just as they made contact. The collision wave expanded outward violently at a terrifying speed. Boom boom boom, in an instant the entire combat ring fell into a horrible windstorm as countless pebbles were swept by it. Jian Wushuang, various clans' experts, and those cultivators present stood watching in silence outside the ring. The audience was unaffected due to the restrictive shield on the ring's edge blocking the collision waves originating from those incredible explosive powers in the combat ring. However, the observers could still sense the incredible heart-pounding energies from within the combat ring. They are truly worthy to be called Earth Ultimate Gods. Just their divine power energy alone is not something a peak Ultimate God can endure. Jian Wushuang told himself. An Earth Ultimate God's divine was already at least 10 times more powerful than a peak Ultimate God. What was the concept of being 10 times more powerful? It meant that an Earth Ultimate God could easily crush a peak Ultimate God with just his divine powers without using any special tactic or laws. The gap between an Earth Ultimate God and a regular Ultimate God was simply too far apart. Pei Qi and San Shouwang finally separated in the combat ring. However, Pei Qi charged forward again in the next instant. Sharp lights were shining from his eyes and battle blade. The blade of fleeting light. What? A colorful beam of fleeting light as though pouring from the stars above broke out. It immediately charged at San Shouwang upon its appearance as its colorful lights caught everyone's attention. What a joke. San Shouwang scoffed and grinned upon seeing that and immediately began gathering a surging of energy in his right palm. Boom. Another heaven-shattering barbaric punch was released. Such was San Shouwang's incredibly barbaric and ruthless style. It mattered not how beautiful one's move looked. A punch was all he needed. If one punch were not enough, then he would release 2 punches. Bam. Another loud collision had slightly shaken San Shuang's body, but the beautiful fleeting light immediately fell apart at that very instant. However, a ghastly figure suddenly appeared amidst the fleeting light which was falling apart. Pei Qi's eyes were cold and emotionless as killing intent surged violently from his body before stabbing his battle blade forward. The blade of darkness. Ring. A beam of black light flashed like a bolt of dark lightning. It sliced through the void in the blink of an eye and shot right at San Shuang with terrifying powers. The black light was too fast and close to San Shuang such that even San Shuang did not have time to block the attack with his fist from such a short distance. Bam! Heaven and earth were shaken by it as infinite black lights containing the power to garrote shrouded the void around San Shuang and attacked ruthlessly. Did he succeed? Don't tell me His Excellency is defeated. The countless cultivators observing outside the combat ring widened their eyes. It isn't so easy. Jianghu Shuang intensely frowned. A brown bear-like figure once again appeared at the same spot after the black lights dispersed as he expected. San Shuang remained indifferent with his body covered in a deep purple energy layer that shrouded his entire physique like armor. The blacklight attacks a moment ago were completely blocked by that deep purple armor. That is the divine armor of destruction. I hear that only when one's destruction law understanding is at an extremely high level could they form an armor merely with destruction powers. The formed armor has a terrifying defensive power. His Excellency's understanding of the destruction law is way too profound. Mr. Pei Qi's attack just now couldn't even break open his armor of destruction despite being so powerful. Countless people exclaimed. So long no one could break the divine armor of destruction apart upon its formation, San Shuang was practically invincible. Pei Qi, your ability has to be a lot higher than this as an Earth Ultimate God. Show me what you've got, otherwise it's no fun. San Shuang opened his jaw and grinned. Pei Qi squinted with a serious expression. As expected, you can't be killed with normal means. Well then, ring. Infinite blade essences surged, immediately shrouded the entire combat ring, and formed a gigantic blade world. Pei Qi had certainly developed his very own principal world as an Earth Ultimate God, and he finally unleashed it at that moment. Infinite blade essence filled heaven and earth with Pei Qi as the master of that particular principal world. Jianghu Shuang murmured. He activated his principal world. Looks like he's serious this time. The many experts around exclaimed in surprise. They then realized that the battle had only just begun. Pei Qi formed his principal world. The Northern Dark Star Territorial Lord naturally must have formed his own too. Sita Yuan remarked at the side. Just as he predicted, another gigantic world had soon been activated after Pei Qi unleashed his principal world. It was San Shuang's incredibly huge principal world with its power comparable to Pei Qi's blade world in every way. Both principal worlds began clashing in the combat ring, but neither could damage the other. A violent aura surged from San Shuang's body right at that moment as another thick layer of halo burst out over his divine armor of destruction. San Shuang's expression was cold with his extremely frosty eyes. Boom! San Shuang suddenly paced forward as his figure moved. San Shuang had only been passively taking Pei Qi's attacks since the beginning without taking any initiative to attack. However, he had finally started taking the offensive side. Unlike before, his power was enough to shake heaven and earth as soon as he attacked. San Shuang's expression turned ferocious as the halo which shrouded his bodice surface completely turning him into a vicious beast. Chapter 2557 Battle of the Earth Ultimate Gods 2 Beast King Transformation Incarnate. The extremely ferocious beast that San Shuang had turned into pounced forward with terrifying momentum. The fist which had condensed incredible powers lashed toward Pei Qi like the sharp claws of a beast. Pei Qi was in full concentration and also triggered his divine body the moment San Shuang made a move. Right after, his divine body suddenly grew 5 meters tall into a small hill. His aura had also risen a lot following the swift growth of his divine body. He was performing a very powerful secret technique. After that, a strong glare shot out of his eyes as his battle blade was shrouded by a layer of crimson-colored light. The blade of blood deity. Boom boom boom. The huge volume of blood mist gushed out and flooded the surroundings into a huge blood ocean. Pei Qi's 5-meter-tall blood-red blood deity figure waved the battle blade in his hands as it clashed with the ferocious beast that was pouncing him. Bang! Heaven and earth trembling hard as infinite airwaves sweeping across. The two principal worlds began to shake violently. San Shuang's ferocious beast form bounced and flew backward. Pei Qi's 5-meter-tall blood deity form had also stumbled a few steps backward before standing still again. Haha, you have some skills. San Shouwang laughed heartily as the aura of violence once again swept over. It's time to end this. Pei Qi stared frostily at San Shouwang. He'll surely take your life with this next move. Well, let's see who's more skillful then. San Shouwang roared deeply as well. Incredible amounts of divine powers were violently gathering toward both their bodies. They were accumulating energies. Is there going to be a verdict? The final and also most powerful clash. This collision will decide their fate. I wonder who will survive in the end. The experts outside the combat ring held their breaths as hardly anyone blinked from worries that they would miss the coming-up clash. Even Jianghu Shuang had his eyes glued to the ring. Both Earth Ultimate Gods had maximized their divine power accumulation inside the combat ring. San Shouwang was the first to attack. His figure expanded as scales began forming on the surface. Previously, it was his divine powers that simulated a ferocious beast, but at that moment scales began covering his entire body and had truly turned him into a ferocious armored beast with deep purple scales. The beast turned into a streak of purple shadow and swiftly pounced forward. Beast King Fury. San Shouwang's purple beast form let out a furious heaven-shaking roar that resonated in the combat ring. That roar has sonic attacks embedded. No, not just that, but also soul attacks as well, and both are very powerful. Jianghu Shuang's expression turned gloomy. However, Pei Qi remained calm when he heard the roar. He slapped his chest. Bam! 3 drops of blood essence shot out at the same time. Pei Qi's aura had simultaneously and immediately shrunk a great deal, such that even his face turned pale. However, the battle blade he held was glowing with brighter and more beautiful crimson lights than before. My fate, the grudge of many Pei clansmen, my 40,000 years of hard work, and everything else will depend on this single strike. It's either him or me. Pei Qi mumbled as he held the battle blade and raised it high with both his hands. Bloody deity slaughters heaven. Vroom. The boundless blood ocean violently crashed as Pei Qi's eyes were filled with the craze. The blood deity he formed waved its battle blade downward. As soon as the blade struck, a crimson blade light that could split heaven and earth immediately formed and swept outward. As the crimson blade light appeared, its terrifying energy turned the surrounding blood ocean into steam. San Shouwang's purple beast form did not waste a second as it charged directly at the crimson blade light with infinite ferocity and sneered as he did so. Ring. The 2 principal worlds that were violently pressing against each other began to tremble. The 2 principal worlds were initially even-leveled with none able to win over the other. However, San Shouwang's principal world's energy for some reason suddenly and radically surged. In the blink of an eye, it kept pushing back Pei Qi's principal world. Some energies went through and began affecting Pei Qi. What? The audience was shocked. Pei Qi's principal world is being directly repressed? Jianghu Shuang was stunned as well. The sudden repression of the principal world even caught Pei Qi by surprise. However, the situation had occurred and he could not allow himself to give way. Finally, the purple beast barbarically charged clashed head-on with the Pei Qi's crimson blade light with its powerful energies. The beast directly collided with the blade light. At the same moment the collision took place, the crimson blade light immediately turned dim and terrifying energy exploded. Boom, boom, boom. Infinite amounts of divine powers were violently swept in all directions. The divine power shrouded the entire battlefield and brought forth a massive divine power storm. Pei Qi and San Shouwang were in the eye of the storm and giving all they had to outplay each other. The cultivators surrounding the combat ring could no longer see what was happening within the ring. They could only wait for the divine power storm to die down and for the final result to present itself. The divine power storm persisted for a long time before it began to gradually break apart. The storm disappeared completely after a while and the 2 figures within were once again visible. San Shouwang had once again reverted into his human form and so did Pei Qi's divine body. Ah! San Shouwang spat out a gulp of fresh blood with a pale face. The deep purple divine destruction armor that shrouded him had cracked open, that even his protective armor had a clear white mark, a blade strike mark. The blade strike had broken through the divine destruction armor, landed on his protective armor, and left him severely injured. However, though San Shouwang's aura was a lot weaker, he was still very much alive. As for Pei Qi did not show any superficial injuries nor marks. However, blood started streaming out of his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. Pei Qi's eyes were bright red and staring deadly at San Shouwang. I won't give in. Pei Qi growled. However, the signs of life had completely vanished after his growl as his divine body lifelessly limped and toppled forward. Dead? An Earth Ultimate God has just died like this? All the experts observing the battle from outside the combat ring were shocked. Chapter 2558. Hiding his abilities. Although Jian Wushuang appeared to be sitting there calmly, his expression was very serious with a slight frown. He first looked at Pei Qi's corpse, then at San Shouwang, and frowned even harder. Even though this Pei Qi guy did not seem externally injured, his internal organs have completely broken into pieces despite being a true Earth Ultimate God. He also has all sorts of protective means defending his body when San Shouwang collides with him. However, he utilized his defensive tactics to break Pei Qi's internal organs into shreds after dissolving Pei Qi's blade light. That energy must be... Jian Wushuang was secretly shocked. San Shouwang. Even though Pei Qi's blade struck open the divine destruction armor on his Buddha's surface and caused some harm to his divine body, it isn't enough to make him puke blood and weaken his aura to that point. If I'm not mistaken, San Shouwang's blood puking and aura decrease are nothing but an act. He's been hiding his true abilities. Jian Wushuang felt heavy at heart. Hiding his abilities? Yes, San Shouwang had been hiding his abilities. He had been deliberately hiding his true abilities not only in the battle where he killed Pei Qi but also in the 3 prior challenges. As for his motive, it was simply because he wanted to put on an act in front of everyone by giving them the false assumption that his abilities were not flawless and probably just slightly above a regular Earth Ultimate God. In this way he could attract more Earth Ultimate Gods to challenge him, destroy them one by one, and steal their treasures. At that very moment, almost everyone on the scene, including those peak Ultimate Gods, thought that San Shouwang had suffered some injuries even though he had killed Pei Qi. However, that thought could not be further from the truth. This guy, Jian Wushuang, was not happy. Sooner or later he was going to challenge San Shouwang after all. However, his true abilities were far from his imagination. In the combat ring, San Shouwang took away Pei Qi's interspatial ring and all of his other treasures before waving his hand and immediately destroyed Pei Qi's body. After that, San Shouwang looked over at the few official army commanders and said, "I'm quite badly injured this time and need to enter a retreat for a while to recover. I won't accept any more challenges within 1,000 years." "Yes, sir." The official army commanders nodded heavily. San Shouwang left in a flash. Following San Shouwang's departure, the millions of audiences outside the combat ring began to stir. Too powerful. His Excellency the Territorial Lord is really too powerful. That Mr. Pei Qi was also a very powerful Earth Ultimate God, but was still killed. His Excellency is invincible within the Northern Dark Star territory. Invincible, invincible. Many cultivators began shouting in a frenzy. Jian Wushuang slowly stood up at the Situ clan seats. "Mr. Jian Yi, are you ready to return home?" Situ Yuan immediately stood up. "Yes, I learn a lot from today's battle and should return home and begin cultivating as well." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Farewell then. By the way, we started converting those resources and progress is pretty good." Situ Yuan smiled. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and left with Xiao Tiexin. On the way back, Xiao Tiexin asked, "Mr. Jian Yi, what are your thoughts about today's battle?" Jian Wushuang directly answered, "Both Pei Qi and the Territorial Lord, San Shouwang, were very powerful. Their battle prowess was truly worthy of Earth Ultimate Gods, but San Shouwang is a lot scarier than Pei Qi." "A lot scarier?" Xiao Tiexin was confused. "I thought San Shouwang was severely injured by Pei Qi? They aren't that far apart in terms of abilities, right?" "Haha." Jian Wushuang laughed before briefly telling her his observations. Hiding his abilities? San Shouwang's injury was a deliberate act? Xiao Tiexin was shocked. Jian Wushuang said, "Indeed. His true ability is a lot stronger than what we saw. Pei Qi had died in vain. If he earlier knew about San Shouwang's hidden abilities, he won't even dare challenge him. However, his death isn't worthless. At least, it has made me more aware of San Shouwang and helped me gain a more thorough understanding of San Shouwang's abilities. If I'm capable in the future, it'll help him avenge the Pei clan and won't forget about the Xiao clan too." Xiao Tiexin nodded lightly. Even though Jian Wushuang made that promise, he also knew very well that his abilities were still a far cry from San Shouwang. He would even have difficulty withstanding Pei Qi, not to mention San Shouwang. Jian Wushuang mumbled, "Let's go back and continue seclusion training. Observing the 2 Earth Ultimate Gods battle is of immense help to my cultivation." He very soon returned to his residence and continued his retreat. At the same time, the Territorial Lord Residence's gigantic underground palace was surrounded by layers of restrictive shields with the Northern Dark Star Territorial Lord, San Shouwang, sitting alone in lotus style. However, his pale expression and incredibly weak aura shown only a while ago at the combat ring were at that moment as strong as before, with no trace of having suffered any injuries. He had an extremely indifferent look on his face. As Jian Wushuang speculated, the injuries and blood puking were all an act. Even those words he spoke to the commanders about him not accepting any more challenges in 1,000 years were something he deliberately said. He did not suffer even a bit of injury. An interspatial ring floated before him. It was the one Pei Qi left behind after his death. Haha, Pei Qi really did not disappoint. He wandered alone outside of the territory, became an Earth ultimate god, and accumulated so many treasures in his interspatial ring on top of many primordial stones. I only annihilated the Shao clan not long ago and obtained a great amount of wealth, including the stately painting, and I've now acquired all of Pei Qi's treasures. The total amount of wealth I've accumulated is quite handsome and am not so far from achieving the Divine Destructive Beast's 4th volume. Divine Destructive Beast was a powerful secret technique that San Shouwang had been cultivating. In the battle with Pei Qi, the incredibly powerful secret technique had unleashed such terrifying power despite not even in its complete form. All those years, San Shouwang tried every method to gather resources and wealth to advance his Divine Destructive Beast secret technique. At that moment, he had cultivated the secret technique's first 3 volumes, and soon the 4th volume would be within his reach. Who should I obtain the remaining primordial stones from? Should I simply find a mid-tier clan, or should I seek the Situ clan? San Shouwang began to ponder. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.